go to Twitter real quick. You already know the vibes.
And then once you throw it to me, I will do my thing. I still haven't cracked it open yet.
I forgot all about that. I'm happy that you still got it though. Me share. Copy link. One second, and then we should be good to go. Yo, what is up, everybody? Welcome to the Blind Rage Podcast with your boys Mike and Nick. And today we have a few things to go over in like the beginning portion, and then after that we're gonna get into our main topics today, which include Call of Duty Vanguard like talk, hype, and like kind of like theories around that. As well as the current like vaccination state with everything going on, as well as like vacations and like our economy and how that's been changing. So without further ado, Nick, why don't we get into it?
Alrighty, so as you guys know, let's go ahead and crack open a cold one off rip. Let's go ahead and bam a lamb.
Hashtag Dr. Pepper.
Yes, sir.
I wish we could get sponsored by Bang as well. That would be great, because you know your boy over here is caffeine freak, so you know it's whatever.
Yeah. And like Mike said, it's just me and him again tonight. We were expecting a guest tonight, but you know, some things fell through. There was a fight going on. I'm not really sure if it was a UFC or a boxing match. I think it was a boxing match.
I believe it was a boxing match. Yeah, it wasn't a. It wasn't an MMA.
So
match.
you know, hey, things happen. Things come up. Hey, we'll get them on next week most likely. So we'll see. For those of you that know, you'll know. And shout out to all you guys that have been showing the support on the podcast. We do appreciate it. And you know, we just want to thank you guys and tell you guys, hey, keep putting it out there. Keep letting your boys know. We're out here to stay for sure. We're gonna keep freaking grinding. This is episode 3. And what do you think, Mike? You ready to get into it?
Yeah, I'm definitely down to it. Like we said, guys, we did anticipate a guest. However, we had some technical difficulties with that. And, you know, in the future, potentially next episode, the guest that was unable to make it tonight should be on hopefully next week, if that's possible. So, yeah, like I said, why don't we get into it and get straight into the meat and potatoes here.
All right, so I guess I'll start it off. So as all of you guys know, Call of Duty Vanguard is the Call of Duty of 2021. Okay, we're going to be having that coming out. It's going to be, you know, the newest Call of Duty on the block. It's, you know, the thing that everybody's going to be hating on. We're going to go back to loving Cold War. That's like the thing. That's the trend that everybody does. But hey, man, I think this, you know, I'm trying to just stay positive like I always do and just be hopeful. You know, I have a lot of people like Scump and people who are hyped for the game saying it's going to be really good. They're gassing it up. So, hey, man, we can only hope for the best. You know, fingers crossed. Maybe we'll have a ranked play at the start of the season. Maybe potentially, hopefully, we'll just, you know, you can't ever rely on.
You can't hold your breath because you might die if you do.
Doesn't matter if it's Sledgehammer, if it's modern, you know, not Modern Warfare. What are they? Infinity Ward. Those people, yeah, they're like the worst when it comes to caring about the Call of Duty League and stuff like that. I mean, just look at Modern Warfare. I mean, that's all you need to know. And then Sledgehammer, they're actually really good about it. So we're, you know, World War II was really good. Fingers crossed. Like I said, hopefully it's good. And like, I mean, based off the beta, the gunplay I think is really good. The maps is the only thing that kind of concerns me. See, like Scump, he's really gassing up the maps, saying like they might be the best maps we've ever had. And it's like, brother, you played back in the day in BO2. How could you say that? Like, I don't know. It's crazy to me because, in my opinion, those maps were just like ant farm maps. It was like a million ways to get to the same spot. I like more of the 3-lane style, like traditional maps that we had back. Basically, you take all the maps they added to CW, Cold War, and you take all those maps that they added. And it's like, okay, think about it. You got what? Hijacked, Express, like Raid, freaking Standoff, Slums, Nuketown. Like, dude, all those maps are they're iconic and they're god tier. Like, people
But
love
they are
them for
just
a reason.
remakes. Like, they're not something new. Literally, none of the new maps that they came out with were as good as any of those maps they put in.
Yeah. I'm telling you, man. So, like, it has me concerned because I genuinely feel like, look at any DLC map they came out with Cold War. I think all those maps are absolute dog water, like, honestly. And you look at all the maps they came out with in Modern Warfare. They had maybe 1 or 2 maps that were okay. Still, the only maps that people loved the most were the maps they either brought back from COD 4 or maps that they brought back from MW2. The last 2 or 3 Call of Duties, the best maps have been the maps they brought back from an old Call of Duty game, which, back when they made good maps. Now it feels like, bro, can they even make a good map? Every DLC map we get, or all the launch maps we get, like, it's, if you do find a map that people like, it's split down the middle. You'll never, like, okay, let's take Raid for an example. I don't think I've ever met a human being that said they dislike Raid. Never in my life. Don't think it's ever happened.
They might get tired of playing it and not like it for that reason, but they're not gonna dislike it because it's Raid. They're gonna dislike it because it's repetitive if you constantly play it.
Yeah. So it's like, you look at any of the maps from, let's take Cold War. Okay. You look at any of those maps that launched with the game. None of those maps are iconic. Like, people are gonna remember them, of course, but it's not gonna be like, yes, dude.
It's not
like,
gonna
when they
be a
see
map
that map,
you want to see again. It's like meh.
Yeah. It's like, yeah, I'll play it, whatever. Like, I like Moscow personally. Even if you find people who like certain maps, it's split down the middle. It's not a clear cut.
That's actually a great example as well, because in my situation, I don't think it's a horrible map for pubs, but I don't like it for the competitive scene personally. Like, it's not horrible for the competitive scene. I do not care for it as much as I like other maps.
I don't really like it in HP, but I like it in the S&D. But basically what I'm getting at is, what concerns me is, I look at Hotel Royale, I look at Red Star especially, and I look at freaking Eagle's Nest, and I look at Gavutu, and I'm thinking, dude, Gavutu might be good for S&D.
It's not going to be good for Patrol.
Red Star, I think, is out of there. Okay, I think freaking Hotel Royale, I think, is a pub map. And I think Eagle's Nest might play okay, but I think that's also.
If it plays good for anything, it's gonna play S&D. It's not gonna. I don't think it's gonna be a respawn map.
Well, and I don't see it being an S&D map just because how quick you can hit mid and like how fast paced it would play off of like.
Yeah, well, I feel like it would be one of those fast paced S&D maps because, like, obviously, like I said, I've watched whenever the beta was out. I watched people play wagers on that. Play wagers in the beta, and it was a really fast S&D, but it wasn't like whenever they played it, it was just, it played out like other S&D maps where you have a playbook, you run the play, and you play off of that. It's not like one of those maps where you can't really think of a strat. You literally just have to play it by ear. Like with that map, that was one of the maps that people like actually had strats for, because some of the other maps like Gavutu, like that wasn't horrible. But like Red Star maps and the Hotel Royale had kind of a couple strats, but they weren't as as strategic as like Red Star was, or not Red Star, Eagle's Nest.
Yeah, and see, I feel like basically after everything that we said, I think we have 2 out of the 4 maps I think are okay for search and destroy. I think that's it. And then I think you have the other 2 maps, I think they're pub maps to get them out of here for ranked. So you're basically looking at, okay, you have maybe 2 S&D maps. I don't know about if Hardpoint's going to exist. I don't know if, either way, if it's Hardpoint or Patrol, either way, you need a damn good map. And the maps are going to make or break the game. That's how it's always been. And that's what has me nervous because, like, obviously it's a beta. You look at maps, like if I look at game like World War II and their beta, a lot of the maps that were in that, I liked all of them except for the last map they added in, which was Aachen. I hated that map with a passion. It was way too big. It reminded me of Aftermath from BO2.
I liked
And
Aftermath, but I'm in
but
the
I think
minority for
Aftermath
that.
was only good. I think it was only good for search though. And once
Yeah,
again, like it was one of
that's
those
true.
things.
Yeah.
But like if you look at the maps from World War II, you had Gibraltar, you had what Point de Hoc, and you had Ardennes Forest. Okay, and all three of those, in my opinion, are damn good maps. Outside of that, though, like you get farther out of it, and then it was like, okay, you had London Docks, you had a few other good maps and stuff like
Mm-hmm.
that. But outside of like basically what I'm getting at is they straight up gave us the best maps that they had to offer and encouraged people, hey, this is a
This is what we
fair
can do.
example. This is the best of the best. This is what we got. Well, instead with this year, if that's the best of what they got, like those four maps right there, that has me worried. It is good that they're coming out with way more maps than what World War II had, so that's good. 16 maps at launch. I think that's great.
Isn't that
But
16 also including like all three modes? Like it's 16, but like split
well,
between all the modes, so it's really not like it's really like the same map pool for every mode.
I think what it is,
I could be wrong, y'all.
yeah, y'all can correct us in the comments if we're wrong about this. I know for sure there's 20 maps total, but that was them counting the Champion Hill stuff.
That doesn't really
So
count.
so it was 16 maps. I think it might have been like 4 of the bigger maps and then 12 6v6. But either way, 12 is still better than 9. But I heard it was 16 6v6. I could be wrong on that. But basically what I'm getting at is, hopefully out of the 12 maps we haven't seen, hopefully there's some good ones in there. But it has me worried, like if those are the maps they showed
kind of
us,
doomed
like
for the competitive
yeah.
scene.
And it's not just competitive; it's the whole game, Because if the maps aren't good, it's the same problem in pubs. If you're having horrible. I mean, look at Modern Warfare. You look at all those maps. There was like all the maps they had. It was maybe Hackney Yard, Gunrunner, Shoot House.
Ramaza wasn't bad for comp. That was a good comp map.
Yeah, Ramaza was all right. But in pubs, you basically had like Shoot House, Shipment, Hackney Yard, Gunrunner.
Rust. Oh.
Rust. Outside of that, it was like what are you gonna play?
Hard Hat wasn't horrible, but
see, like those are maps they brought back.
Yeah, that's remake maps as well. Yeah.
Like your Shoot House, your Hackney Yard, your Gunrunner. Outside of that, it's like I don't really want to play any of these maps. I don't. So basically, what it came down to was a lot of lobby surfing, a lot and then you finally give up on backing out. So you finally play Piccadilly after backing out for the 87th time. And you're like, well, damn, this is horrible. I ran around for 3 minutes, stood in the middle of the map for a whole minute straight. Nobody even shot at me. Like, this is so dead. And it's annoying because, like I said, the map is going to make or break the game. So even if the gunplay is great and if everything is great, it doesn't even matter because the map, if the maps are horrible and people are just dying to dumb shit. And then on top of that, even if they have good maps, let's say they're really good 3-laned maps. All right, well, now you got to worry about the fact that I can just break through a wall or shoot through a wall or melee through whatever and just have all this destructible cover. Yeah, it's, I heard it can be turned off and different things like that for comp, but
even
that still doesn't change the whole pub situation. Yeah, so, and you know how it is for me. Your boy's going to have to grind camos and I'm concerned about having to do like blind fire freaking kills and
that's gonna be
mounted kills, and basically it's like everything from Cold War and Modern Warfare these last couple of years. They're gonna find the most annoying camos and then add more to it. Yeah. It's like I don't know, man. I get they want us to play the game, but they shouldn't do it by making it harder on us to get, so we have to play more to get it.
Another thing with the destructible cover thing. This is my take on it. Like, yes, it's lanes that would have been open by default in any other game, like every other COD. Mm-hmm. But what I think that should happen is it shouldn't be like you shouldn't be able to run through it, and it shouldn't be a one hit. Either there's a couple things you could happen. Either you have to melee it multiple times to break it down, or make a perk where it still takes more than one hit to break it down, but it takes substantially less hits than like without that perk or whatever. Because I don't think that, like, I think that yes, it's gonna be turned off in the comp scene, so that wouldn't matter for like me really. But like even for the pub aspect, I don't think that that's either leave the lanes open or leave them closed. Don't leave them like in the middle because
Well,
it,
yeah, because you start to
it
like,
defeats the
okay,
purpose.
you're not like you're like, all right, I'm gonna focus this area, this opening, this doorway, and then you're like, all right, I'm watching this, and then there's break destructible cover to your right, but you're not watching it because it's not wide open. Well, you
Yeah,
think maybe okay, maybe I'm safe, I don't have to worry about it, and
yeah,
then bam, they just bust through, and before you know it, you're dead, and it's like you would have been paying way more attention to that if it was a wide open doorway than
yeah,
some destructible cover that they can just sprint through and destroy
yeah.
you. So I
Plus,
mean that, and then you have the fact that like I think it wouldn't be as bad if you had to like waste your grenade to do it.
that
Like
would
if
be
you
that would
had
be
to
interesting. Yeah, if you could like use
like
like an impact grenade or something.
yeah, like if that was forced, I think that would be interesting for sure.
Yeah, that's 100%. Yeah, because I believe that like it shouldn't. I don't know, and plus like I think the whole point of it's pointless in general for the fact of the matter that you can break down a wall, but you break that wall down, and that's all that happens with that spot for the remainder of that match. Like obviously I don't want a wall just like spawning back up, but I feel like it's like a one-time use thing, and after that it just defeats the purpose because it's gonna get broken down anyways. You're not gonna unless you
Yeah.
have like a hardcore lobby full of just Bottaviuses just chilling in corners like little crabs. I don't
Mhm.
think you're gonna find a situation where any of that destructible cover is left. Like if you get into any decently skilled lobby, it's gonna be completely broken down unless it's like there's one little spot that no one goes to. That's different. But
Yeah.
if you're like, there's not even a point to having it because it's just gonna get destroyed anyways, and it doesn't really do anything cover wise, because you shoot one bullet through it and it's already collapsing. So like it's really, I don't
Yeah.
think it doesn't fit in COD, and I don't think it fits in Battlefield either.
Yeah, I mean, dude, even Battlefield for the most part is like I feel like with Battlefield 2042, they got away from that a little bit. I don't know. I could be wrong about it. I didn't really play. I've
It's
seen a
definitely
couple
better
people
than
play it.
5 was. Like the whole destructible cover thing, I think that was done way better in 2042 because there was a lot less of it, but I still think it was
Yeah.
kind of annoying to have to deal with.
Well, real quick, I can confirm just for those watching on the stream. Shout out to those watching live and those who are watching this as a VOD. Just want to let you guys know I can confirm. Our guest just messaged me and let me know the last fight is beginning right now. He is not going to be able to make it, which we kind of already informed you guys and let you know. But he did say he's down for next week. So we got that pretty much locked in, confirmed. So yeah, we'll make that happen. That'll be good. I think it'll be a good episode, Mike.
I definitely think it will as well because I was kind of excited for it, and like it was kind of unfortunate that what happened happened, but things happen. I
Yeah,
mean we
things
didn't
come up.
like we only gave him really like a week in advance, and this is something I'm pretty sure has known about for a little bit longer, as well as the fact that also you know like in my defense, like in our defense, I guess he should have advised us ahead of time that this was gonna happen. But it's whatever at this point.
Yeah.
I'm not really worried about it. You live and you learn. It happens. But yeah, let's just get back into it, I guess.
Hey, and that gives us more time to talk about some Call of Duty Vanguard, everybody's favorite game of the year. It's gonna be the most sold, like it always is, right, Mike? So
For the
who
most part, yeah.
knows? So
I don't.
they'll be like, "Oh, it's a record-breaking game, greatest thing you've ever seen in your life." It's like, okay, yeah, we get it.
I
Like,
don't
it's sold a bunch.
personally. I don't like that. The way that the newer generation goes off of how good a COD is by its sales, because that doesn't matter.
That doesn't tell the
And
whole story at all.
the only thing that tells is advertisement. That just says, oh, the advertisement was really good because no
Dude,
real OG player likes MW, but it sold millions of copies, and people think, oh, it sold so many million copies, it's the greatest game ever. No, it was dog shit. Like it shouldn't even have been released. It was
that is
garbage.
a perfect example because of the fact that the reason why it sold so much and everybody's like, oh, they hyped it up, greatest best-selling Call of Duty of all time. It's like, yeah, bro, because you titled it the exact same thing as the Call of Duty from freaking 12 years ago, and
That
y'all
was
called it
actually
Call of
good.
Duty Modern Warfare. And of course, y'all told everybody, all right, we're returning to boots on the ground, and we got all this going on. We're coming off of Infinite Warfare, and we're going back to our roots. And they're trying to bring back all these hardcore freaking fans, and it's like, dude, we get it. Like, you freaking suckered everybody in. You got all the old fans to come back, and everybody bought it. But all them sales prove is that you tricked a bunch of people into buying your game, and you hyped it up with a really good trailer. I guarantee you, I could make a game and then have somebody who's a professional, you or anybody else, sit here and make a freaking trailer that makes it look damn good. And then I could hype somebody up and make them want to play the game. So that doesn't mean it's a good game. It just, you showed the best parts of it.
Yeah.
And it's like, okay, you told everybody, you slapped a freaking iconic name on there, told everybody, you're going back to your roots. Of course, everybody bought it. But then my thing that I'm more interested in seeing is how many people are still playing. But of course, you can't see that because they took that away. They stopped doing that in Call of Duty Ghost. Notice right after the golden era ended from 2007 to like 2013, that whole era, that was the golden ages of COD. The freaking best time there was to be a Call of Duty fan. And that whole time period, it was great. They showed numbers. And then as soon as Ghost hit, they took away numbers. They knew they're fucking the sales kept going up because people kept buying it based off like hoping.
Went down.
Yeah, based off of just hoping, like, oh bro, maybe that was just one or two bad games in a row. Hopefully it'll get better this year. No, it's always the same thing though. It's like, yeah,
they hope for the best, and then they just get like, they don't even hope for the best and prepare for the worst. They just straight up hope for the best. Like, they don't even like recently, like within the past 2 CODs, I've been kind of give me one moment. One thing that like has been going through is that like I can't even think now. But yeah, like recent COD players have been, they've just been, preparing for the best and hoping for the best. They don't expect it to be horrible. And recently, especially, like, I would say, like, some people started on, like, as soon as, like, IW hit. Some people started on World War II, and some people started on BO4. But for me, after BO4, that's when I started, like, thinking, okay, yeah, I'm going to expect it to be, like, I'm going to hope that it's amazing. But I'm going to expect it to be mediocre, if not horrible, because of my MW experience. And, Cold War, that was kind of iffy. Like, the pubs kind of sucked, but, the competitive scene was actually where I hit my plateau as far as the recent CODs. Hopefully I can continue to go up in my skill level for, like, wages and all that. But, I'm going to, especially within Vanguard, even though I've played it, and I think that it can be a really good game, I think that it is something, that can be, it's something that you have to kind of, like, brace yourself for,
Yeah, and dude, I think it's crazy because how many people actually are sitting there hyping the game up and, like, actually, like, really excited this year. But I feel like that's what they're so good at. Not just with their advertising and all of that, but in general, I don't know how they managed to do this. But people who have been playing this for so long and watching this franchise just get worse and worse. Some reason, some way, they always find a way to sit here and make us hyped up for the game somehow. They're like, oh, we're going back to our roots, like with Modern Warfare, and like, oh, we're going back to boots on the ground. We're getting rid of supply drops. Like, oh, we're doing this new thing. Like, they're always trying to be like, look at what we're doing. Come back. Don't hate us. And it's like, dude, it's not even that, because they tell us one thing and give us another, and then when we get there, they're like, yep, yoink, you bought our game now. It's like, yeah, I'd like to know how many people return the shit day 2. That's my question.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
I mean, it's not that Call of Duty, is the worst thing ever. It's just, you can't sit here and hype it up and say, oh, this game's a 10 out of 10, and then we get it and it's a 6. It's like,
I think MW is worse than the 6 personally. I think that it was...
Yeah.
It was definitely, like, as far as, like, the games that I've played, like, I've even played BO4.
Like a 4 or a 3.
Like, considering BO4, that was intermediate because, I started on BO4 and all that. But, as far as that, like even BO4, in my opinion, BO4 was a great game. Now, mind you, like it was hated on for a lot of reasons, and I'm with the people that hated on it because I understand why. But like even then, like we definitely should have had like compared to BO4, MW was like a 3 or a 4. And I know that
Dude,
sounds really bad.
in general, it's just like
And then
compared to nothing,
if you
it's
compared that
horrible.
to like BO2 or BO1 or anything like BO1, 2 or 3, it just completely like it smokes MW. MW is like a 0 or like a 2 max. Like it's just horrible.
Can we talk about how it is sad how they literally disgraced the name of Call of Duty Modern Warfare. Now when people hear that, they're like,
They don't think
worst
of the
Call of Duty of
OG
all
amazing
time. They
COD. They
don't
think
think
of,
of
oh, this
they
COD's
don't think of the
absolute dog shit.
2007, like the original freaking COD that, put multiplayer and Call of Duty on the map, like got it to where it is and helped lead, to all the freaking fan base it has now. And it's like, nope, now everybody thinks of MW 2019 and they're all like, no, where's, a lot of people will tell you that's the worst game in their opinion of all time. And they'll say like, can't believe I bought this, like, can't believe I played this. And a lot of people are hearing the same thing about Vanguard. They're hearing, and it's like my boy Murder Show, shout out to Murder Show if you ever somehow watch this, which I highly doubt, but hey,
It's
potentially.
anything's possible, right?
Yeah. So, shout out to you. But like he said last night, literally, you can the worst thing you can do for the future of Call of Duty Vanguard is tell somebody who hasn't yet heard of it or watched it or played it or anything like that, tell them that it's a Call of Duty Modern Warfare reskin or a remake. Like,
Yeah.
if you tell them that, that is the worst thing you could do for the Vanguard.
They will not buy the game. They won't.
They're instantly turned off. They think of camping, they think of horrible maps, they think of everything bad
A bad
with
engine.
that game.
Like
They're
that's
gonna
my
just
opinion,
think
but
of
yeah,
horrible.
like a
Yeah.
not so good
Well,
engine.
I think the engine itself isn't bad. I just think there's mechanics that they added with it could have,
It's
they
just
could
not.
have definitely did without for sure. But I think, it's very interesting now that people look at Modern Warfare, which back in the day, if you said that in itself was like, that could spark a freaking 10-hour conversation between OG players talking about how great that game is. Nowadays, it's a 10-hour conversation roasting how shit Modern Warfare 2019 is. It's like, It's insane.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
It really is.
But I'll say this. Like I said, I am looking forward to playing, and I think the gunplay is really good, and I think there's a lot of good aspects about it. I'm just hoping that the freaking maps are gonna be good. I'm hoping the camo grind isn't gonna be too brutal, but your boy does get a good amount of satisfaction. It is painful, but I do get a good amount of satisfaction from grinding out those camos and knocking them out, man.
Look
There's
at
something
Jev.
about it.
Like if you look at Jev, like his progression throughout it, like I watched his entire series from the start of MW, literally the beta, to like him getting obsidian on every single gun in the game. Like the game itself, like mind you, he played it like don't take the wrong way, Nick, but he definitely played it a little bit more than you did. And
For sure.
But look at his mental status, like his mental status, and like he just willed to live, like slow. Like I know this is like kind of a disrespectful phrase, but literally his will to live has literally just like not skyrocketed, just depleted like rapidly. And you look at him before, like he was excited to play the game. Now he looks at the game and he's like, holy shit, I don't even want to see this. Like this is just demoralizing to me.
Yeah, it used to be a passion project. Now it's like a chore. Get on and do it as a job. Like, I mean, I know everybody says that, but I feel like that wouldn't even be an issue if the game wasn't in the state that it's in every single year. And it just all comes, I mean, not to make this about a whole Grand Theft Auto talk, but look at Rockstar and what they're doing with Grand Theft Auto 6 and stuff like that. Yeah, fans are pissed off. Like, oh, they keep delaying the game. It's going to be, whatever. It's all these years, they keep putting out new GTA 5 stuff and all this. I'm like, bro, I would much rather them do what Rockstar's doing than what the developers for Call of Duty are doing.
The same COD for like as long as it's a decent COD, I'd rather play the same COD for a couple years and have a banging ass COD the next year. Like not next year, but like the next COD. Like at
Yeah.
this point, they're literally just slapping like everything together and just calling it a day. Like they don't even give a fuck at this point. Like they really do not care anymore at all.
Well, it's like, think about it. When the game releases, that's not the finished Call of Duty.
No.
The Call of Duty that we get, like, okay, like Cold War, for example,
Mhm.
that is finally the full game that we should have
That's how
had at
COD
launch.
always works now. It's never like
Yeah.
the launch game is never it's not it's not the final version of the game. Not only that, but it's also it takes a whole year to get to that point. So like you know, in a sense, we kind of wish that it would be like the way that Rockstar does it, where they're gonna make the next game a banging game, but it's gonna take a couple years. But also, you know, like it's a different experience. Like it's like you would like to play all versions of the game just to see how it changed. But like even to the state it's at now, like I don't even want to play this Cold War. I want to play like the not the OG Cold War because the OG Cold War was kind of busted. But like I want to play the intermediate Cold War. I don't even want to play what's finished now because they've added so many broken things and
That's the problem.
it's
It's
just
not
not
like
fun anymore.
see, they fixed a lot. See, and that's what I think the issue is it's not that the game got worse because they made more bugs and more problems, which they do. They'll fix some bugs and add more, and there's still a bunch of problems that they haven't fixed from the beginning. But all around, like in general, Call of Duty Black Ops Cold War got better as a game. But the reason why it's more annoying and more toxic is because you have nothing. Like when they add new weapons, I don't think they fully realize what they do to the lobbies.
They don't understand the impact it has on everybody.
Yeah, because I mean, you literally like you have everybody trying to unlock the new melee weapon.
Mhm.
So you have to get a lethal kill, so a tomahawk kill. You have to get a melee kill, so everyone's running around knifing and tomahawking, which is annoying as hell to die instantly to anything, whether it's a knife, a tomahawk, a shotgun, a sniper, a crossbow,
Yep.
any of it. That's all annoying. So that already is annoying. Snipers have always freaking run wild in Cold War. Then, everyone's using the new shotgun. Or if they're not using the new shotgun, they're preparing to use the new shotgun by using the Howler, the freaking pump shotgun. So you have everyone literally using the most toxic shit. Or then you still have and the kids who literally who you are, kids. you know. All right, the people out there who are running around still using dual-wield, dragon's breath, double-barrel freaking shotguns, pistol, whatever the fuck you want to call them. Those marshals are so retardedly overpowered and broken. It is not even funny. It's like they literally took the marshals from BO3, and at first I would even say, yeah, they're worse. But now, when you see how many people really are using them, they're not great overall as like a shotgun or just in general.
But as
they're
a
not great.
secondary, it can help.
But dude, especially if you're that guy who everybody knows I've been struggling using melee weapons, especially that damn combat axe or battle axe since they changed the name of it. I was struggling hardcore with that battle axe, and every time I'm running at somebody, boom, boom, just blow me away with a dual wield shotgun.
Not only is the gun itself, like not the gun, the weapon. Not only is the weapon itself horrible because it has zero lunge, but also you have to have zero lunge against a shotgun. Like it's crazy.
And then when it does work and I'm lunging at him mid lunge, boom, blow me away. It's like. Well,
and then, this kind of spirals back to previously, like our podcast last week, how it doesn't matter. The game could be the best game possible, but you can take the bullshit of the game, but you can't take the bitch out of the player. And this community is so bad that
it's never gonna change.
It's never gonna be back to where it was good. Like for instance, like we've literally talked about this last podcast, but. In BO2 Pro League, the competitive, the Pro League, pros, you were allowed to use a Remington 870 shotgun. But why it was allowed? Because although it was broken, nobody really abused it except for the bot just chilling in a corner, for a cent, like, you really can't, like, that shows you how much it's changed. It went from shotguns being allowed in, Pro League level COD because, no one uses it, so if someone does use it, they're putting themselves at a risk. And then now you look at today's players, where that's all it is people using the most broken thing in the game because they want the highest advantage possible. Like, personally, I don't really think there's any good player anymore that plays Call of Duty. Like, I don't mean that as a disrespectful way, but almost every single hand, like, good player won't put themselves at a disadvantage because, like, although skill base does exist, back in the day, you could look at a veteran player and they could be using the worst weapon in the game. It didn't matter because, like, yeah, they might not perform as well if they were using something like a meta build, but they were good enough to the point where they didn't need that broken weapon to make them play good, Whereas today's day, that's kind of how it is. And this also ties back to the whole reverse boosting thing. I have nothing wrong with people that reverse boost to get gameplays to make money on YouTube. I'm fine with that. That's cool.
Just be honest and upfront about it.
Exactly. Like, I see this on TikTok all the time. It's the same. I'm gonna leave the person anonymous, but it's one of the bigger pub stomping players in the community.
Who it is, chat.
And like, it's like, I'm fine with Raid Away and, like, Doozy or Face Swag and all that because, like, they admitted to it, But some of these other people that they're like, oh, what am I doing? Like, I'm unkillable. I'm like, well, yeah, no shit. You have people that, don't even know how to control or hold a controller. Like, although, yeah, maybe they might have a decently sweaty lobby here and there, but, like, you're reverse boosting, which I'm fine with, but I'm not fine with you claiming that that's all your skill because of you reverse boosting, Like, if you just had, like, a sweat, like, this is what I see a lot of decent players use and, like, not big, super huge content creators. They straight up, they play up against sweats, like, they might not play up against, Scomp or, like, Form or somebody, but they're playing up against sweats and they're doing decent, but that's their upload. They're not dropping 176 and 2 and claiming they're the best player ever because they're not playing against, the people in the high KD videos. They're not playing against, Scump and Form or, like, challengers or, like, amateurs.
They're playing against Billy Bob Jr.
Yeah, they're playing up against people that literally have disabilities where they can't even, like, hold their controller correctly, So, in that whole, like, sense, it's just sad that what Skillbase has done. Like, we've also had this kind of exact conversation previously, so it's kind of, like, repetitive. But, like I said, guys, that's just how the whole COD scene in general has, like, evolved, and it's evolved into a very, very toxic and unfortunate situation.
Yeah, because, I mean, dude, like, look at the whole situation with like you were saying, with how it was back in the day with League. I mean, dude, you could have people like, using a shotgun in League, but at least then when they did it, it wasn't like, oh, every game I ever play, I'm running around with the shot. It was like, no, I'm gonna pull it out on this one specific hill and do it. What, like, nowadays, it's like if a shotgun was legal, there'd be somebody dedicated using a shotgun,
dedicated
like every map, running around, like literally, like
that your breacher or whatever. It's like your breacher, like entry frag. You're a BZ using a shotgun,
Yeah, that's what it'd be like. Run in, shotgun somebody, and teammate will run in and get your trade. It's like
it would be like Call of Duty's always been a flinch shooter, but it would be even more of a flinch shooter because you look at pro reaction time, pro aim. It would be it would literally be how Rainbow Six Siege is because, like, you guys know how the one-shot headshot mechanic and all that. It would be this. Like, let's say we're playing Miami, right? And a BZ's on the, I believe it's defense. A BZ would be on defense running top purple. And then you would have, let's say Envoy, why not? And they both have a shotgun, and they have their team behind them. Well, it would literally be whoever misses their first shot wins the gunfight. Or who
pulls the trigger first.
Yeah, whoever pulls the trigger first, or whoever the latency favors, like whoever has the better ping if it's online COD, or whoever, has the better reaction time and all that, dictates who wins that gunfight, And with other guns, that's not the case. But in that situation, that dictates that. It would also be a trade fest. Because, like, let's say instead of main sub, it's now main shotgun, okay? You have main shotgun, like a sub, an AR, and then maybe a flex. And maybe that flex is also using a shotgun. So it would be like, okay, bam, you killed one, then you get the trade, and then you get the trade. So it's like a trade. Like, it would be like it
Or it would be like a
nonstop.
shotgun and 2 subs and an AR, right? And it'd be so much more. Like people already talk about how fast paced COD is. That would
It
be
would
even
be
more
literally,
fast
it would be
paced.
like
It'd
a
be
flinch
just full
shooter,
send it.
literally.
It wouldn't even be like any thinking involved. It'd be just headbutt each other at the
Yeah,
hill
it
repeatedly.
would literally take zero
And
brain cells to do for the most part.
yeah, but I mean, I don't know. Like overall, I think we can wrap up the whole Vanguard
Yeah, I
talk.
was
I
just about
mainly
to segue
think
into that.
Yeah, I mainly think like for the most part, I think Vanguard's it has really good potential.
It just
Um,
depends on what they do with it.
yeah, it's do they handle it the right way? Are we gonna have a ranked play at the beginning? Are the maps gonna be good? And we can't obviously we can't obviously say anything about the whole community because like me and Mike said that's a
That's
lost
never gonna
cause at this
change. It's a
point.
lost cause, yeah.
Yeah, so but outside of that, I don't know. Don't really have the smoothest segue, but I definitely want to say, I kind of wanted to start this whole combo with the vaccinations with the pro players actually, because
Yeah, that's a good
you
way
know
to get
how
into it.
yeah, because we kind of transition a little bit from the Call of Duty, but we're still talking about the pros here. But obviously, I heard different situations about pros getting vaccinated. Maybe you know this, Mike. Do you know? Did all the pros get vaccinated? Is that a thing? Were
So
they required? I
I'm
don't
not
know.
100% sure, but I know for 100% certainty, even as a guess, as anything, if you're in the same stage and arena as pro players, you have to have
A,
a
a pass, right?
you have to you don't I don't think it has to be a vaccination, but you at least have to have proof of like a negative test within the past 2 or 3 days. I believe it's the past 72 hours, I believe. But I'm pretty sure that all pro players have to be vaccinated, and I'm pretty sure I could also be incorrect. But whenever I was listening to Haggie's stream one day, or Parasite for you guys that don't follow the pro league, I'm pretty sure he had to not only get the vaccine, but he also had to get tested, which, in my opinion, that's kind of counterintuitive because the vaccine can give you a false positive because
Yeah.
it is like giving the antibodies of it. So I
Yeah.
believe that you have to, but I could be incorrect in that statement.
Well, see, the reason why I bring this up is because if it's not something that's required, I feel like it's something that will be, obviously, because with it being required now at like a lot of restaurants at all
Colleges
over the
and things like
world,
that.
colleges, schools for like, K through 12, different things like that. Or I know they're at least talking about kids that are 5 and up. Anybody in the health industry, anybody in the education industry, and before you know it, it's going to be airplanes, and
We
they're
can
already in the
discuss that a
talks of
little
doing
bit.
that.
We can discuss a little bit of that in a minute.
But yeah, basically, I say all that. I know it's going to be a case of if you want to even spectate or visit or go to the arena or to the venue to watch, go to a CDL event. I'm pretty sure at these next events coming up in Vanguard, I'm pretty sure you're gonna be like forced to have like a vaccination pass and show like that you're vaccinated. And I think it's interesting, but like I mean it kind of makes sense, but at the same time, like I think they should handle it the same way sports are, to where like they keep doing the frequent testing, but they just like basically that player gets benched for a few weeks or whatever until they get two negative tests. And I think if they go about it that way and they don't force it upon people, I think it would go over a lot better.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but I wanted to, with all that being said, I wanted to ask you, would that impact your, let's say, like hypothetically, you had an offer to do that, but you knew you had to be get vaccinated to do it? Is that like a risk you'd be willing to take?
This is like I have kind of a like I'm not gonna like make this a long drawn out example, but I believe that it depends on the circumstances. Like obviously in a hypothetical situation, if I have the opportunity to get signed up by a pro team and I'm like on a contract or whatever, there's a few exceptions. My base like belief and opinion on it in general is I'm not vaccinated myself. I don't believe that it's bad. I'm not against it in any means. However, I do not want it personally because I've already had COVID. The reason why I got COVID in the first place was because of the vaccine. So, I don't want to take the second risk of getting it again, as well as, unless I'm getting vaccinated for the new Delta variant or whatever, I'm already, for the most part, I'm covered because I still have the antibodies from COVID, and recent tests have shown that you have higher and better antibodies if you've recently had COVID than from the vaccine. Now
Which is why I think, just really quick to throw in, I think if you're gonna give out vaccination passes and force that to be a way like you can get around and go in places, they should give it to all the people who have had COVID and have the antibodies. If that's stronger than the whole vaccine, I am completely ignorant on the topic. I don't know enough about it, but I will say that from what they're saying, that it's stronger than the vaccine. Then it's like, okay, why can't we also have that pass that says that we're covered, we're good?
That's something that's actually the exact thing that I also wanted to bring up here. Is that I believe, like I said, I don't have it myself. I don't intend on getting it myself. Just because that's how I got sick in the first place. And although
it was from a family member getting it, not him.
I didn't get it directly, so like obviously this can be different. However, although COVID, in my opinion, I don't think COVID is really that bad, even if you get unless you get like an extremely severe case of it. Personally, my case wasn't too severe. Like, I did lose my taste, and I did lose my scent, and I'm still kind of recovering from that. However, I also got pneumonia, and the COVID, like I said, COVID for me, it was like, give or take, a slap on the wrist.
COVID's like the flu, but pneumonia is much worse.
Yeah, COVID was, a piece of cake for me compared to pneumonia. Like, I'd rather have COVID for like a month than pneumonia for a week type thing, because it's like you literally feel like you're being drowned 24/7. It's horrible, Yeah. And I believe that people that, like, for instance, this, like, bringing up your topic, I believe that in the CDL, as well as like the arenas, I believe that if you do have medical proof of you having COVID, I believe that you should have a pass, maybe have an expiration date. That way you have to get tested again and see if you still have those antibodies. That would be like a good compromise. But I believe that if you already have the antibodies, you shouldn't have to have the vaccine itself. And like I said, I'm not entirely against it. I've just gotten sick from it, like not from it directly, but via my family members that have had it. And pretty much almost everybody in my family that has had the vaccine got sick, except for like a few cases, And like obviously that's gonna happen because of how a vaccine works. However, considering that I went from like A's and B's in my chemistry class, like my honors chem class last year, to my last quarter I failed because I missed too many online Zoom calls and like meetings and all that, and I just wasn't. I didn't have the energy to do all that. Like, there was just too much on me because I had COVID, and then right as COVID was starting to go away, I got pneumonia, and it was like I can't do that. Like, it just drains me.
I kid you not, guys. This man here sounded like he had bronchitis on top of it too. With that cough he had,
that is a possibility. Like I believe that I might have bronchitis, to be honest, because that's what my family always says to me. Because every time I always get that type of cough, and you know how bad it gets because you've known me for like almost 4 years now. So
yeah, you can like hear the liquid like in the fluid in his lungs, like when he coughs, like it was bad.
Whenever I did have pneumonia and I would like inhale, if you guys have like a standard coffee pot, it sounded like a coffee pot brewing. That's literally what it sounded like, but it was just me inhaling, which is kind of ironic, but it is what it is. Now, to answer your question with this whole long drawn out like question, I guess. To go off of that, I believe that if I was guaranteed a spot for an X period of time, regardless of my performance, like I believe that I can perform. I would be able to perform to a certain extent, but I definitely would be the worst player on the team, and I could have games where I literally do not do a single thing, and the only thing I do is hold the hill. So I believe, like, going back to that question, I think that if it was a requirement, I would potentially do it. And I believe, like, not potentially, if I had the option to do that in a hypothetical situation, I didn't have to work, like, my whole, whatever quarter or semester I was doing this whole, like, the whole pro league organization thing, if I was exempt from those those quarters or semesters or whatever, like all of that, all the variables be taken out, regardless of where it's at. Like if I was able to go to the place and just play COD
Yeah,
professionally,
assuming like no school, like you're out of school, like you're of age, obviously you'd be in
yeah,
this hypothetical, you'd be 18,
yep.
you'd be able to do whatever.
I'd be able to go to any
You'd be out of
state to play
school.
LAN
Yeah,
events. You know, having my own apartment at wherever the LAN event
yeah,
is, etc. If I had all those boxes checked,
yeah.
and the only single thing holding me back would be the vaccine, of course. You know, I without a split second of a thought, you know, I would 100% get it. However, if in this situation there would be also two things that go off of it, I would also have to ask them in advance, you know, hey, if I get this vaccine and I get sick again, am I still going to be on the team once I'm recovered, or are you guys going to find another substitute to, you know, just replace me? Because if I still have that guaranteed spot, even if I get sick, I don't give a damn if I get sick, as long as I get better before, you know, whatever major, and I'm good to play and I'm good to scrim and, you know, like practice, then 100%.
Well, see, they would bring you back in. That wouldn't be the issue. My issue would be like I've personally like just at least 15 to 20 people that like I have known in real life like were perfectly fine, clean bill of health, taking the vaccine, and then within like less than a month they passed away, and we had to have a funeral for them. So like that would be more of my concern, because it's like you're rolling the dice hoping you don't die,
Yeah.
especially with the new, like people were dying on the first variant. Now they're talking about this new like crazier variant. You never know, like what if
Were you
you
referring
get
to the vaccine itself killing them, or were you referring to them contracting COVID from the vaccine and then that killing them?
yeah, well, them getting COVID from the vaccine itself.
Then,
So
yeah.
like they get the shot, that gets them sick, and they never recover from it. They just steady get worse.
Yeah.
And then they send them to like hospice,
And then you go to like ECMO and all that, and then eventually become a vegetable. You know,
yeah.
I
So
think
it's like that to me is what completely is that's the issue. It's like, okay, yes, I would love that. That's like a once in a lifetime opportunity. But that also might be what ends your lifetime, your one lifetime that you have. So, it's rolling the dice. You're like, well,
I
let's hope I
believe
don't die.
in my situation, like obviously anybody that knows me, and like obviously I kind of look like it. I'm quote unquote I'm obese because of my weight and my height and my build and all that. Like I'm not, you know, my 600-pound life. I'm not even like I'm not.
No.
I believe I don't even think I'm 250. Actually, I lost a lot of weight because of COVID. I lost like 30 pounds because I didn't eat for 2 weeks. Chat.
Same here. I ate 30. I ate 30. I ate nothing and lost 30 as well.
Yeah, so in the span of 2 weeks, you know, I lost 30 pounds, and I only eat one meal a day now for the most part. Like sometimes I eat two, but I literally only eat one meal a day. And I know your case is a little bit different because of different reasons. However, once again, bringing it back to this vaccine thing, I believe that I would personally take the risk, not just because of the whole COD scene, like that would be amazing, but also the way I see it is if I'm guaranteed a spot regardless, you know, if I get sick or not. Am I gonna get sick in the first place because I already have the antibodies, and you know, I already have it in me, so it should just be like, you know, a little booster. It shouldn't be like a full blown like brick wall.
But see, what concerns me though is they say, "Oh, this new variant." So what has me concerned is, will the antibodies from the other variant prevent you from getting the new variant? And then it's like, okay, well, if they don't prevent me from getting it, let's say I get the vaccine,
then what's the point of getting it in the first place?
Let's say I get the vaccine, because they're like, well, you need to get the vaccine in case you come across the new variant. And it's like, all right, well, that makes sense, whatever. Well, I get that, and then I end up getting sick, and my current antibodies can't fight that off. So then it's like, well,
then you're fucked.
Like you hope that your immune system's strong enough to fight it off, but then you're just literally, like I said, rolling the dice and hoping for the best.
That's facts. But yeah, you know, like if it's like the regular vaccine and it's not against the Delta variant or anything, that like if it's just like current time where you're not getting the vaccine for the Delta, you're just getting the regular vaccine, I think
it wouldn't be worth it.
I don't think it would be worth it unless, like I said,
if you have the antibodies.
Yeah, I don't think it'd be worth it unless I'm in that, like I said, that hypothetical situation. Then at that point,
might as well.
I already have the antibodies, so the chance of me getting sick is like slimmer. It's not like, you know, it's not like a 0% chance, but it's a lower chance.
Yeah.
As well as since I've already had COVID, like, yeah, it's put stress on me. However, I didn't have a super severe case, but it wasn't like nothing because my friend didn't even lose his taste or smell anything. He literally just had like the flu, basically. Um,
No.
you know, so even if I do get sick, the chance of it really being fatal or being like very severe are a lot lower in my case. So
Yeah.
like I'm with you how like in certain circumstances, but if I'm in the hypothetical situation where that's the only thing blocking it and like all the boxes are checked, I believe that'd be worth it personally. But I do
Yeah.
not like if you're just a regular person and these are things that are going to cross your mind. That's up to you to decide. Personally, like I said, that's why I'm not against it, but I also don't have it myself. I'm not an anti-vaxxer and I'm not a vaxxer. I'm like a
You're on the
neutral.
fence.
I'm a neutral person. I'm not. I'm like a undefined or whatever it's referred to now as all the generations and gender references and all that. I'm undefined whenever it comes to this whole vaccine situation. Is there anything else you would like to add before we like segue into like our next couple topics here?
Yeah, the last thing I did want to say is kind of like what you were talking about with your friend having like a very like minimal case of it. That's pretty much how I felt like when I was sick initially. Like, yeah, it sucked for like 2 days. But like when I had the flu, I was on the couch. Like I got a whole freaking week off school. I was on the couch laying there like dying
I
for
remember
like
that
a
too.
week straight. And there was times where I literally was like, "Oh my god, this is unbearable. Like this is horrible." Yeah, I had that, but I don't even think it was anywhere near to the same extent. And it was like a third of the amount of time that the flu lasted for me. So the actual effect of it was like while I had it was not like it was very minimal. But once I got over it in like 3 days, I was like, well, I guess I'm good. But then, like, that's when the after effects started taking
Yeah.
place. I smell any kind of food or anything like that, and I start getting nauseous and sick to my stomach. And then, like, if I smell a combination of foods, like, let's say I smell Mexican food and seafood or, something like that, it would completely turn my stomach and, nearly make me nauseous. And I would go to the point to where it's like, man, I walk in somewhere and I'm like craving something, but then as soon as I smell it, it's like, oh
Didn't you
god, I'm
also
just turned
say
off.
like at this point, since we only had a few topics to talk about, we still have two topics besides this that we want to speak about. However, considering how far we in so far, or how far we in the podcast so far, I believe that if it's cool with you, we could talk about since we already kind of are like our whole like effects from COVID and like how like in our cases, a lot of the symptoms we have to this day didn't set in until afterwards.
Yeah, I mean, because that was my main thing. Like I said, with COVID, it wasn't the during COVID that wasn't the worst part. It was the after. Like now, even still now, like I said, with the whole smell thing, that just makes me nauseous just smelling food. Even the food that I think is the greatest, like bacon. I would kill a man for some bacon back in the day, but nowadays it's like, bro, like I'll eat it, it's whatever, but it's not like something that jumps out to me and is like amazing. And when it comes to taste, like I don't if something's fried, all I taste is like that
Greece.
it's fried in the grease and like horrible. Like it tastes so bad. And if something is like let's say something is salty, all I can taste is
The
that salt.
salt. Yep.
If and if something is from like a frozen dinner or something like that. Back in the day, I would kill that. It wouldn't bother me
Same.
at all. I'd love it. Nowadays, it's like, dude, I can tell that this is a frozen dinner. This is so bad. Like, oh my god, get this out of my face. And it's not even like I'm trying to be like, a high class, like
No.
snooty, freaking
If
snobby
if you didn't
person. It's
have
like,
those
no,
symptoms, you would crush that shit.
yeah, like I would love it. And with that, it's just like I can taste that. It's almost like let's say like Stouffer's, they make a lot of those frozen food stuff. Let's say like or Encore, there's another one that they make the frozen food stuff. You could take one of those and get like the Salisbury steaks.
Hmm.
Um dude, back in the day I would love those. Now if I take that, I can clearly tell like how fake it is. Like that's
Hmm.
all I notice. I can't like I'll eat it, but I won't. I can't enjoy it anymore, and that's how it is with 90% of all food. Like some
Doesn't
things I can tolerate, but most things it's just oh god, it's
correct me
horrible.
if I'm wrong, but do you still have the side effect where you always have the aftertaste of Cool Ranch Doritos no matter what you eat, or is that
Thankfully,
receded?
thankfully that's kind of receded for the most part. Like that's it's not really that now. It's kind of whatever I ate last
It
tends to
lingers,
it lingers for so
and it
long.
just overwhelms the taste of the new item.
Yeah. So like whatever I ate, and for those of you who don't know, I'm a lot like what Mike said. I eat once a day. So I eat dinner every night, but I don't eat during the day because I know if I eat during the day, I'm gonna hurt like most all day. So what I do is
We also
like
really haven't discussed that. I'm sorry for cutting you
yeah
off, but that's mainly because he has extremely severe acid reflux, so like nothing will really help him. Not like he could eat
yeah
a whole bottle of max strength Tums in one sitting, which it's not healthy. But he could do that, and it literally would not affect him at all. It wouldn't make it
yeah.
any worse. Like you could drink a gallon of milk and it wouldn't do anything.
And I've been to the doctor. For those of you who are like, well, go to the doctor. It's like, well, I've been to the doctor. They did like an upper endoscopy, ran the camera, like did all that. I'm supposed to go to the doctor here in like I think like 10 days, 11 days, something like that. So, I'm supposed to be going back, but it's just more for like a checkup. He wants to see if anything's gotten better since I went. I went back on the 24th. So basically, they want to just check and see, but they prescribed me this medicine, which was basically what I was already taking, but it's a higher dosage, and it's a different medicine, but it does the same
Isn't
thing.
it essentially just calcium carbonate?
It's basically like a Nexium times 3. So like a Nexium, for those of you who don't know, it's like a 20 milligram. It's like it helps with your
Like
heartburn and
heartburn, like
acid
acid reflux and
reflux
stuff
and
like
all
that.
that. And it's like a 20 milligram thing. Well, my doctor had prescribed me was a 60 milligram medicine, which was basically the same thing.
It has like the same active
So
ingredients and everything in it.
yeah, all the same ingredients and stuff like that. But it was $340, and I was like, no, I'm not paying that. And my insurance refused to pay for it. So I was like, insurance isn't gonna pay for it. I'm not paying for that. I'm just gonna either get Nexiums and take 3 of those, or take the omeprazoles, which are just like Nexiums, and it's just take double the dosage basically because they're 30s. Or I have omeprazole 40 and 20, and I'll take 140, 120, something like that.
Mm-hmm.
But that's just to even eat a meal, and then I 90% of the time still hurt after even taking the medicine. So, it hasn't fully solved the problem yet. I feel like they kind of told me, yeah, you have severe heartburn and acid reflux, but I feel like they didn't tell me really anything that I didn't already know.
Yeah.
It was like, okay, well, that's great.
Yeah.
But getting back to the whole thing I was saying with the taste like lingering, like tonight, I'll tell you guys what I ate tonight. I had shrimp Alfredo.
That sounds
Not trying to,
gas. That sounds.
not
I kind
not
of
trying
hate you
to
right now. That
bring up
sounds
food,
gas. Like I had
not trying to
Taco
bring up
Bell, but don't
food,
get me
and
wrong.
not trying to bring up food and sit there and make everybody hungry. So I'm sorry if anybody is listening to this and you're hungry, but yeah, I had shrimp Alfredo, and it tasted to me. It didn't taste bad. I actually, didn't hate it. It was pretty good. I enjoyed it. The shrimp actually was damn good. My dad made it, amazing.
You're
Those of
making
you who
like I'm
don't know,
not
my
hungry,
dad
but
is a
you're
great
making
cook.
me want some shrimp Alfredo right now.
But basically, what I'm getting at is that taste is I can still taste that, and I'm still gonna taste it tomorrow, most likely. Which some people might think, oh, that's great. Like, oh
But
yeah, just
it gets
eat something
annoying.
good, and it's like yeah. But think about it. After a while, that taste of sitting in your mouth forever, it gets distorted, and it starts to get this like sour, like rancid taste, and it
Yeah.
gets real bitter, and it starts making everything taste
Speaking
nasty.
speaking of that, if I'm sorry if I did cut you off,
No, go ahead.
with any of you like your thoughts with the whole rancid situation. Nick knows what I'm bringing up, but like since we're talking about like we'll have probably a whole separate podcast dedicated to like a lot of this, but people that know me personally, you guys know that ever since COVID, not after COVID actually, like not during COVID, not after COVID, a few months after. So I had COVID, since it was the last quarter. So like the last 2 months of when I get out June. So like sometime between May, I had like around May or so, I had COVID, I believe, or I could be wrong, but somewhere around there.
Yeah,
Um,
something like that.
you know, and that being said, I haven't really noticed these symptoms until like, let me think.
And just
Probably.
real quick,
I'm
while
sorry.
you're before you throw that in there, I wanted to also say it's been 1 year and 1 week since I've had COVID. So,
And you still
just
have the
for those
symptoms,
wondering, yeah.
But since I'd say probably late June, maybe July, probably a little bit afterwards actually, I started eating pretty much all of the things that I've had, previously. Like, I had let me think. I had like all kind of stuff that I haven't had since COVID and all that. And nothing really tastes the same. Like there's some things that still taste the same and still taste very good, but like my whole palate is changed. I'll give you guys an example. Sour cream. I used to like I didn't love sour cream because it was like a up down situation. At one point I hated it, another point I loved it, and then now I'm back down to hating it, and not because it's sour cream, but because of my palate changing. The sour cream tastes like rancid and extremely spoiled sour cream, and then also it tastes like that, but you mix fryer grease in with it, like used fryer grease, and that's what sour cream, and like sour cream, ice cream, anything with like high concentrations of cream, that's what it tastes like. I can still drink milk and stuff like that, but as far as like anything with like heavy cream, I can't eat that anymore. Um, you know,
You
and
better be lucky Jordan's not in here.
he is. He definitely is in here.
No, I
Yeah.
meant in the call because of
Oh
that high
yeah.
concentration of cream comment.
Yeah, yeah, we know all about Jordan. But that
We
being
got to get him on here at some point. We have to.
probably after Nikita or Dustin, probably within the
Yeah,
next like 3 or 4 podcasts.
we have to, man.
But that being said, guys, things like that doesn't taste good, so I can't eat that anymore. For me, lettuce, like I know Nick, you never really liked lettuce, so like you can't really have a comment on it. But I used to like lettuce a lot, and it tasted like lettuce. And now I eat lettuce, and I still like lettuce. I still eat salads. I really like salads. I still eat Taco Bell lettuce because Taco Bell gang. Um, you know, um, with that being said, though, it tastes different. It could be literally a fresh head of lettuce picked from the ground and washed off, and it tastes processed. It doesn't taste bad.
It tastes fake.
It tastes like it was like covered in like pesticides and chemicals, even if it wasn't.
That's
And
how I feel with like other greens. Like obviously, like you said, I don't like lettuce, but I don't know if it's just like vegetables. But obviously, like I have my problems, like I said, with fried foods and refrigerated foods and stuff like that. But also when it comes to vegetables, like like I said, I don't do the whole lettuce thing, but I'm into like I used to love green beans and peas and stuff like
snap
that.
peas
Those
are
things
fire.
I can't do peas. I can't do green beans. I can't do spinach. Like I can eat it. I can force myself, but if I eat it, I'm literally gonna have a horrible taste in my mouth for hours after, and I hate it.
Then you also say
It's so
corn
bad.
as well. Like corn isn't a green, but then you
Yeah,
also say corn. Yeah,
corn as well. That's another one. It's like, ugh.
for me, luckily, like let it like I don't know about carrots because when I eat carrot, I don't really eat whole carrots anymore. I used to, but like if I eat like carrot strings, they taste kind of normal. But also, besides things tasting differently, like for instance, I hate bringing food up, but Taco Bell, I used to like I still eat Taco Bell. Matter of fact, I'm still addicted to it because obese gang, fat kid gang, but
That
that
boy.
that being said, like even not just Taco Bell, like any type of like steakum, like if you get a Subway steak sandwich or like a steak sandwich, or even my place, which are like thick sheets of like steak, like it's not like a strip steak or anything like that, but you get the point. Anything in that nature, it tastes different. It doesn't taste horrible, but it tastes even more processed than it used to taste. Like
It
as well,
just tastes off. It's not
it
how
doesn't
it
taste.
should.
It doesn't taste like you don't. It doesn't taste the way you expect it to taste,
Yeah,
knowing what it used to taste like. And like
yeah.
another thing with my palate changing, whenever I had COVID, Nick, you could correct me if I'm wrong, but you did lose your taste and all that, right? Like your taste and your smell for a second, or no? when you had COVID?
Yeah, like I had no taste for
Okay.
like a few days, and then everything tasted like Cool Ranch Doritos for a while, like for a few months. I don't know exactly when that wore off, but it was like for at least like 2 or 3 months,
Yeah.
and then it kind of switched over to just everything like tasting bad. Like it didn't taste like Cool Ranch Doritos anymore; it just tasted off. So I guess like you can say I've had some progression, but now like I even tried. I was like maybe let me try this. Maybe I'll get a bag of Cool Ranch Doritos and try to counter it and be like, oh, let me try to, eat a few Doritos and see what it tastes like. No. I about vomited everywhere. It was
um.
horrible. But it's the same thing with any kind of chips. Like I was telling you, if I have anything other than like Lay's, like the classic Lay's or like Fritos, like, the original Fritos, like stuff that I would not like back in the day, which it's not that I wouldn't like that, but I'd much rather have like sour cream and onion Lay's or Doritos or something else. But nowadays I can only tolerate the most bland, like salty chips.
Um. With that being said, what I was gonna say, like I had something else, but like I wanted to make sure you lost your taste and smell and all that. But correct me if I'm wrong. But when you did have COVID, if you ate anything that was like sweet, you couldn't. Maybe it's just me, but me and my grandmother, when we had COVID, we couldn't taste what was like. We couldn't taste like sweet things. Like we had like frosted oatmeal cookies, you know, and
It tasted like bland, like you were.
we couldn't taste it, but you could taste the presence of sugar and how like you can
Yeah.
taste like we couldn't taste things that were salty, but we could taste the presence of salt. And something here that like you said how you like things a little bit extra now is before like I liked salt, but I did really like salt. I like salt on a lot of things, but I wouldn't load it with salt. Like if I'm getting fries now from like my store, I have it loaded with seasoned salt, like a pile of it
Yeah.
at the bottom. Or if I have a steak, like I don't cover it in salt. That's just fucking stupid. You're gonna destroy
But you
the
make
steak.
sure it's good and seasoned.
You put like you make sure you put like Montreal steak seasoning, cover that bitch in it, and
Yeah.
stuff like that. Like the presence of salt just makes up for the flavor, and it makes things taste a lot better,
Yeah, I don't know. I'm sure there's something to that. I'm not the guy that will sit there and break it down and know,
Mhm.
but I know for a fact there's got to be like something to that, to where it's like sugars and
Yeah,
salts and something. It does something with your taste buds and makes it to where it's not as horrible as
it
if
can
it
be.
had no salt.
Yeah.
But I'll say like for me, like if let's say I was eating a chocolate chip cookie.
Mm-hmm.
If I was eating that, it would taste like I was eating a raisin cookie or like a
Oatmeal cookie.
oatmeal cookie. It would taste like that, like it had like the sweetness and it literally everything tasted bland. Like it's like if you made Kool-Aid and instead of adding all the sugar you normally add, like the 2 cups or whatever, you only added a quarter of a cup. So like it tasted really watered down. Or like if I gave you a soda from McDonald's or
And
something
then
full
put
of
ice in
ice,
and let it melt.
and then I just let it melt, and you didn't pick it up for a while, and it freaking got really watered down. That's like how everything tastes. Like everything tastes watered down
Like
and not,
bland, yeah.
just not at all like as vibrant and as tasty as it used to. It's crazy. But
One
I think
thing,
that's about it on the whole thing, unless you have anything else, Mike.
there's only one, like it's really short. One thing that I would also like to add with this is on my end, you guys could tell whenever you said sour cream and onion, I cringed. And
Yeah.
it sounds really, really stupid, but like certain things that I used to like even things like cheese flavored, I don't like anymore. And especially anything that says sour cream, I just like make sure it stays like 50 feet away from me. Because like for instance, I'll show you guys. I have them right here, right? If you guys can read, they're cheddar sun chips, right? And like I used to crush like a big ass bag of these by myself in like an hour. And as you can see, the bag is still there. I've had that bag for like a week and a half or 2 weeks now, because I ate it. I ate them, and it tasted like rancid sour cream and fryer grease, and like it smells like I don't need to smell it, but it smells just like regular like Harvest cheddar sun chips. So shit like that it's like demoralizing because like it's almost taunting you because oh it smells really good but you eat and it tastes like shit.
Hey, you happy your freaking smell
Yeah,
is coming back?
at least I can
My
enjoy
damn
the
smell.
smell.
Hey,
Um,
I will say this though. When my mom made cornbread the other day, like last week or something like that, I was able to smell it. I mean, I had to get up on it, and it
like you
was
do with your
fresh out of
monitor.
the oven. Yeah,
Like,
just like
can
I
you
do with my
smell your
mom.
monitor at all?
It smells like monitor. It smells great. Um, but yeah, basically, as far as the whole situation with the cooking food, like normally people like a normal person with regular smell and everything else, they would smell it the whole time it was cooking. They would know like
Mhm.
when it's getting close to done based off of just the smell.
You lose all
And
that.
like I don't have any of that. Like it has to be an overwhelming, like
Yeah.
flowing throughout the whole house, like completely diffused everywhere. Then I'm finally able to like, and then I have to still like if this is the pan, I have
You
to
have
be
to
like,
like waft it. Yeah.
I still have to like get up on it, like just
Um,
so I can smell it. And it's yeah, it's so bad. Like
one other
it's
thing,
horrible.
I do want to wrap this portion up because this, like, I genuinely want to wrap it up. With the whole smell thing, I know you were kind of like, making fun of me, like saying, at least I can smell. Like, I can smell food. All foods, for the most part, smell great. But when I go outside smells like used fryer grease. And, like, yes, it could be a part that I work, in a restaurant. But, like, even then, like everything outside smells like grease and nastiness, as well as one last thing, uh with the whole smelling thing, especially when I had COVID, something that was really odd to me is I couldn't smell. And like if you ever, like, it freaks you out, like it's not like, oh, I'm terrified, like, because I knew it was going to happen, so I wasn't like scared. But it's like, what the fuck? Like, you really genuinely think this in your head, guys, because for instance, Nick, the Vicks vapor liquid, like you pour in like one of those steamers, right?
Yeah,
And
yeah.
I'm like, okay, I can kind of smell this can, or like it slowly. I could smell shit again, but when I first stopped smelling shit, I was like, I can't smell this. I can't smell anything. Maybe I'll try this because this shit is strong as fuck. Like eucalyptus is a very strong smell, and I'm like, like sniffing
Hmm.
it like I'm like sniffing glue, and like I couldn't smell it, and I'm like, what the fuck? And like I could feel the alcohol burning my nose. Like you could feel the alcohol, but you couldn't smell it. And it was
Yeah.
such a weird experience. And like I would drink and eat things, and like it wasn't that I didn't want to eat because things tasted nasty. Because I could only taste sugar. So when I did the burnt orange shit, the brown sugar literally made me throw up because it all you tasted was sugar and it was nasty. Besides the point. But the reason why I didn't eat for 2 weeks is because I didn't eat for a couple days, and then I was like, oh, okay, I'm gonna try eating. And as soon as I would eat, like if you can
Um,
think about it, a piece of food dropping into your stomach just makes your stomach hurt because it's in there, and it's not used to that. So every time I would eat, it would hit my stomach, and then it would make me throw back up because my stomach was like actually hurting because it was so empty that it felt weird having something in it. But
and then you take 3 bites and you're like, you feel like you're overstuffed and 800 pounds and bloated. You're like, oh my God. At least that's
yeah,
how I feel. That could be a more of a me,
That's
whole
how I
health
feel more.
related
That's
issue.
how I
But
feel more now compared to like whenever I had COVID. But I can see that's how that's relatable. Um,
yeah.
but like I said, like we have a few more topics here. But one topic that I do want to get into is that you know, uh, let me think. A few topics that I want to get into is that like as the title says, the whole vacation thing. I know this is more of like a topic you came up with. So like as
Hmm.
you said, like what would be our our dream vacation and things like that. But since you're the one that kind of came up with this idea in general, why don't you do the honors of like explaining everything from your perspective?
Yeah. So basically, uh, I kind of went on my dream vacation, last year, actually. It, it was last year, October 1st. Me and my parents, I took them out there, and well, they took me technically, but I arranged for it and paid for it and stuff like that. And we went out, and I thought it would be ideal because I've always wanted to live in Colorado. For those of you who don't know, I just love the weather. Here in Texas, hot as hell. We don't ever get a white Christmas, which is what I want. We would have a lot less bugs. We could save on electricity, like, because at night you can, let your windows up because you don't have to worry about bugs, and it actually gets cool at night. Like here, it could be midnight and it's freaking 90 degrees. It's insane. So,
Um,
all of that combined with the fact that I would be in a bigger city, I'd have all that going for me. Not that I can't get that in other places, but I just all around, I thought, for the longest time that like that's always where I wanted to be, right? And so since that's where I've always wanted to be, I was like, well, I need to at least go and experience it because I don't want to, dream my whole life and think like this is the ideal place. And then when I get there, it's something completely
it's like
different.
a big
So I was
old pile of
like,
shit.
yeah. So I was like, I need to at least go there, experience it, and see if I enjoy myself while I'm there. Well, I went there, me and my parents took me around, took me to different places. We enjoyed it. Like, we actually did things that, me and my parents never do. We're always home. Like, they
You
either
even
work or
have
they're
a
home.
video of the whole vacation uploaded to your channel, right? Like you have a video of like
Um,
pictures and videos.
I don't remember. I don't know if you remember this, but this was a year ago, obviously.
Like
So,
I made sure
you
like
know,
you had
I
everything,
emailed
but
you. I emailed you all the stuff, but I guess like you told me the videos wouldn't it wouldn't let you get the videos somehow.
mhm.
So
Oh shit, yeah,
that was the whole issue. But I do
yeah.
have it all. I have it all on my phone, but I haven't. I don't want to really put the videos out there one at a time.
Because they're like short
I was
videos as well.
Yeah, well, a lot of them are like clips that were meant to be pieced together.
Yeah.
I'm considering, for those of you who are interested in it, I'm considering putting together a like just basically uploading them all private and then having somebody
Download
edit
them.
all of it
Yeah,
together.
download them and put them together.
Yeah, so I'm considering doing that, but
That's a
that's
possibility. I
for
could do that, but
that's
that's
for
if
a
I have
different
time.
time. But basically going to Colorado was amazing, and I specifically instead of Denver, I was considering Lakewood, which it's like the fifth biggest city in Denver. It's got like 160,000 people living there, but it was still a big enough city to where I could live in the city, rent an apartment. And I'm not opposed to renting an apartment. Obviously, I'd like to own a place, but if you try to buy any kind of land or anything in town, like in the city limits, it's gonna be outrageous, especially in Colorado. Um, but basically, what I'm getting at is I've always thought it would be ideal. Like I thought that's the place I've always seen myself living and making a home for myself. So going there and just experiencing everything we experienced. I mean, like I said, me and my parents were kind of homebodies. We don't get
Yeah.
out a lot. We don't get to do a whole lot of things. They work all the time. So when we got to get out and we got to go and we explored a whole like abandoned ghost town. We got to go, we obviously stayed at a nice hotel, went to some nice restaurants, the usual things you do, but we got to go and we checked out these different places that they had on pamphlets and just did the things that tourists normally do. But it was just all around a really cool experience for me because that's not something I've ever got to do before. And so going there, it was everything I expected and more. Like we hiked, obviously my mom can't do a whole lot of hiking and my dad has back problems as well, so they let me go hiking up a small, like, I wouldn't call it a mountain, but it was a wannabe mountain, let's say. And I hiked up to the top of it. They took a picture of me, and the feeling of that was just the sights you could see from there, the things that I got to experience there were just, it was breathtaking, and it was an experience that I'll never forget, and it was definitely the ideal. Obviously, it'd be a little bit better if we could have stayed more than the 3 days we stayed,
Mhm.
because I only saved up so much money. And of course, my parents they didn't take a full vacation at the time. Or maybe they did. I can't fully remember. But the point is that to me, the only thing that could have made that better is because see, we went in October and we went at the beginning of October. There was ice and stuff on certain parts of the ground, and certain, like, you can see where it had snowed like a week ago or whatever, but we didn't get to see any snow while we were there. And then the day after we left, it actually started snowing severely, and then less than a week after we left, there was a huge avalanche. So I guess, it's good that we got out of there when we did. But at the
It's also
same time,
disappointing.
yeah, at the same time, I think the ideal vacation for me would be like, we're in a like I've all Mike, you know this, and all the people who are close to me know this. I've always thought it'd be really cool to live in a log cabin, and just have
Log cabins
everything
are badass, by
completely
the way.
set up. And I think like there's just something so amazing and just cozy and comfortable about there's snow outside everywhere. It's cold all outside. Maybe it doesn't have to be a blizzard, but maybe it's snowing, got it going on. It's Christmas time. All the houses are, decorated nice. You got Christmas lights everywhere. Everyone's just in a better mood because it's that time of year. Everyone's jolly and cheerful. And then you have the fact that like you're inside just watching Christmas movies, maybe listening to some light Christmas music, and you got the freaking, you got your warm fireplace right there. The family's gathered around just looking at the TV. Like, to me, that would be the ideal, like, perfect, that'd be the perfect vacation, the perfect setting for me to be, I'd be at home. I'd be freaking content right there. I'd be perfect. So that would be for me. Like, that's what I would say. Obviously, some people get to live that every single day and just get to live the life. And I hope someday, somehow, some way, I get to do that. I think that would be amazing, even if it's not in a full-on log cabin, because like I said, I do need to live in the city. But even just living in an apartment, just living there, I think would be a dream come true for me personally. So yeah, I don't know, Mike. What do you think would be your ideal vacation if you could just assume money and
Like
none of that
all
is
the
an
variables
issue?
are out of the way.
Yeah.
Start off 3 things before I do this real quick. You talk about leaving your window open at night or whatever, which for cooling. Now, if you're on like if you're on a high level, sure, but if you're in a ranch style house, I would not do that. Even being a firearm prevalent household, I like being around all that. I still wouldn't feel comfortable leaving my window open at night because, fuck no.
Yeah.
The second thing with the third thing with the log cabin, I've actually spent time in a like cabin every couple years going to camp, and like it's not tents, it's an actual cabin, but the experience itself is pretty badass, as well as I believe there was one more thing that involved Colorado, but I'll leave that for another time, or at least later on. That being said, my ideal vacation, now if this is a vacation for just me, like not including my family, I think you would kind of have an idea of what it would be. Like as long as it was possible, like everything was possible, there was no variables, no limitations.
Yeah, whoever you want to be there can be there. If you want to be by yourself, you could be.
Yeah.
There's no money, there's no transportation, none of that's an issue. Like,
There's no objects, like money's no object or anything like that.
Yeah.
In that case, if it was just me and who I would pick as like best friends and homies and shit, I would want to do 3 things, and it would be like in similar locations. So for the most part, as long as in this hypothetical situation, all 4 of you guys would be down, it would be me, you, Snow, and Enzo, and we would all go to, like, obviously this is like a fantasy thing, so like
Yeah.
it like I'm making it the way I want it to be, obviously, but it would be us 4.
Yeah.
Considering vaccines and all that shit is not an issue. The 4 of us would go see a Champs game versus like Optic Chicago or whatever Optic's gonna be that year.
And my boys, Atlanta FaZe.
Yeah, I would like it to be, someone other than FaZe. That way you're rooting for my boys too. But like I could see, like I would definitely make fun of you if they lost, and you would make fun of me if my boys lost.
Bro, it would be a 3v1. Like
it would be me,
Jordan,
you, and Enzo, or me, Enzo, and Snow versus you. Like Snow favors FaZe too, but like he likes Optic more. The Dynasty. Yeah. But it'd be like that situation, like a round 11 game, like a game 11 or 9, game 9, round 11, whatever. And then after that, we go in like a hotel. I don't really care where Champs is at, like depending whatever year it is. I don't really care about any of that. And then, like I said, as long as all this is possible, then either me and Snow or like all of us, whatever, I don't really give a fuck. All of us go to the Optic headquarters, and all
Yeah.
of my boys that were in there at the time that I want them to be, I get to meet like all my Optic players now. Like Formal would be in there, but Formal is retired at the moment. So like it would have to be like, it would be a hypothetical situation, like I said. But it
Yeah.
would be like, visiting all the Optic members and like talking to Hex and like Hitch and Maniac and all them.
Scump and Formal
Scump,
and
Formal, like I don't know, like maybe Karma and Krim, or like Karma and Envoy,
Anza. Shout out to
or
Anza.
like Dashi, because like I think Dashi, Envoy, Scump, and Formal, that would be a cool group to meet.
I think Dashi and Snow would be an interesting duo, just because they
Very similar.
remind me so much of each other, just because
Yeah, they're
like
very similar.
when you hear an Optic freaking you hear a listening with Optic, you're like, oh, is Dashi, like, does he speak words? Or like you'll hear him here and there, but it's like, damn, this man barely calls out.
And then they'll
like
go on a
with
rampage
Snow, it's
and not say a single
holy.
word. Like both
Yeah,
of them will
it's
go on a
like,
rampage,
damn,
literally
bro.
fucking wipe a team. Not wipe a team, or get like a 4 down or 3 down or whatever. And be like, okay, cool, let's rotate. I'm like, you're not gonna talk about how you just fucking destroyed everybody, like,
Yeah, it's crazy.
But I think that would be, amazing to like, meet all the boys and like, kind of see all of that situation, like get like obviously.
Bro, we
like,
would get into some trouble. I feel like
we definitely would, but
we would do so, like, either we would get like noise complaints from the hotel because we'd be getting way too crunk and way too loud, or like I already know for a fact that Snow and Jordan would be losing their damn minds because they're wild, bro.
Yeah.
Not saying you're not, but you're more on the like chill.
If I'm in an uncomfortable
situation,
situation, I'm gonna be very like formal and strict, being like by myself, But also in like this hypothetical situation, like obviously any of us here would get rolled by Scump, Formal, Envoy, or Dashi. But maybe like have a 1v1 and then like a 4v4 just to see how badly we get shit on. Because it's not a debate whether or not we would get shit on. It's how badly we would get shit on.
Nah, bro, we'd win. Come on.
Yeah, come on.
We'd smoke them. They're Formal's retired. Come on.
A Halo Pro, CS Pro, about to be a Valorant Pro. Just fuck that. Nah, we're good.
Nah, he'd get smoked. He ain't about it.
And like I think that even then, just being in the same city as them, like being in Chicago and all that, and like seeing where they do everything.
Really being in Frisco because of with them moving everything to Frisco, Texas here.
Oh, they're moving
it's
to
like
Texas
a not
now.
too.
That would be even better.
They got everything here in Frisco, Texas.
How far away is that? Oh, I can't. I'm not gonna say your city.
It's like I don't know. It's like a 3-hour drive.
Bro, okay.
3.5-hour drive.
Fuck the hotel as long as it's cool with your family, bro. Come down, see a Champs event, go to them, go to your house, and spend a couple nights at your house, and then go to like other COD events, bro. That would be,
That'd be a vibe and a half.
And like obviously this would be like my fantasy or hypothetical situation, but I never really even thought of a vacation. But like if I ever had a chance and like there was no limitations, like it wouldn't be something like it's unreasonable, but it wouldn't be something like
it's not unobtainable. It's just a matter, like the hardest part. It wouldn't be like money wise. It's not.
It's
impossible.
just being able to make
it's
it.
It's just getting
HQ.
everyone together.
Yeah.
Well, getting into the Optic HQ, yeah. I don't think getting into the Optic HQ would be the hard part. It'd be
getting all of us
when you get in there. Well, getting in there wouldn't be the hard part. It would be talking to all the people like Scump and Formal and all them like that. Probably wouldn't be able to happen unless it was like at a legit like signing or an event or something to that.
Like they're not gonna take time out of their day to do all that,
Yeah, but I think outside of that, the hardest part would be just getting everybody to have the same like time frame to just not like. But as far as like my parents, my parents 100% wouldn't care. They'd welcome you guys. Be like, hell yeah, I mean. As long as you got room, like as long as y'all bring a freaking air mattress or something, or bam, somebody sleep on the couch, whatever,
And
they wouldn't care.
I think that would be great though, because, not only like obviously this is a hypothetical, this I'm not saying it will never happen, but like 99.999%
Yeah.
chance this is never happening.
Yeah.
But like, how, like, as a vacation, like obviously you would have to spend a lot of money, but as a vacation, how epic would it be to be like some amateurs or like, like younger kids, like obviously not younger as in like age, but like as in like experience, like, me and Snow or me and Enzo and
Yeah.
all them, and us play a scrim against like, one of the best respawn teams in the beginning of Cold War. Like, how not only that, but being like not just one of the best like respawn teams in the beginning, but also fucking Optic. Like, you could
Yeah.
say that for literally any pro team, but it doesn't hold the same weight as it does like even FaZe. Like FaZe would be really badass, but it's
Yeah.
Optic,
Yeah,
the
Optic is always
dynasty.
going to be the most known. Well, it's like, it's always going to be the most widely known. And like always going to be the most popular organization by far.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I mean, there's no question. Like, I mean, look at anybody who's ever been on Optic. Like, look at Octane when he was on Optic. That man's followers and sub count and everything skyrocketed
Yep.
as soon as he was on freaking Optic. That's just how it is, bro.
And
Like, same thing with FaZe, like you were saying.
and in respect, I would like, I wouldn't like make any type of social media or anything about it. Like, I'd try to keep it confidential if they wanted that, because I'm cool with that. But
I'd be like, just give me a picture, bro. Let me just get a picture.
like picture for myself. I get a picture like either with me and like Formal or like me and like all the boys, bro. Like that'd be epic, And,
or like Scump is on your right, Formal's on your left, or something like that, and you're like standing in front of them.
Yeah.
Like, man,
like,
that'd
and
be cool.
you gotta do
Something like
you gotta do the classic Formal arms cross
Oh,
stance,
yeah.
And like, I just think not only that would be like really cool, but even them, like with your situation, like them understanding that you're legally like you probably, like obviously you wouldn't have the best performance.
I think if they knew like of my situation and everything, like I'm not saying they would like, but I feel like they'd be more likely to consider, like taking a picture or doing an autograph or like, taking time to give a shit, because they're like I think if they knew like, oh, this is just some blind kid, I don't even know if he plays the game like that.
Yeah.
If it was like that, then that'd be one thing. But if they knew like, damn, this guy plays the game, he grinds hardcore, like he actually has potential, he has a lot of game knowledge, like he has potential that he could be an amateur or a pro.
Yeah.
It would be insane for them to look at that and like actually.
And even in the future, like consider like other legally blind people with the same situation.
Yeah. Just not count us out by default.
Yeah, like at least give you some form of like shot, but like also, once again, in this hypothetical that we could do pretty much everything we want. Like we could have like a scrim against them for fun, like like not a scrim as in like, them go hard as fuck, but like them play casually and then we sweat our dick
play
off.
the game for fun. Yeah,
and like we try and like, although we would all get smacked and we'd probably get like maybe even 10 point or 1 point clubbed in like hard point or something,
it'd still be one of the most fun matches we'd ever played.
It would be one of the most fun moments, as well as the fact that like you would, like, I can guarantee you would at least kill somebody. And knowing yourself as a legally blind person, you murdered Form, or you murdered Scump, or Envoy, or Dashi.
Or imagine if you like turned on Scump or something, bro.
Imagine us as a team. Mind you, let's say we lose all 4 maps. Like let's just say, or all 5, because even if it's a 4-0, then they can still come back for 5. They would have to be a 5-0, but like. Mm-hmm. Let's say we still get 5-0'd, but like we get like for an HP, we get like a fucking 4 down, and like we start picking up hill time. We still lose, but we get like a 4 down, or like
you see dashes and like hints of greatness.
Yeah, or like we play an S&D, and like I don't know,
win 3 rounds or something.
Maybe like I'm not gonna pronounce around and say it myself, but maybe I pull out a 1v3 out of my hat, Like maybe
that'd be crazy.
Like proving my ice to them, And like obviously this is a hypothetical, and like I wasn't even thinking about this going into it. Like I was just thinking about, I just want to see the Optic HQ, but I wanted it to be real quick. But the more and more you think about it, the more and more awesome it would be if it was a reality. But
Oh yeah, 100%.
Like even then, like we would definitely get smoked, but would let like more than less. at least be able to see where we stand on like the gun skill part or like the movement part. You know, maybe not as a full team, but like how we stand as a player individually and then also as a team. Like we would definitely get smoked, but like seeing what our possibility can do. Like if we can, like let's
Yeah,
say
we know our potential.
yeah, like if we can get 100 points on optic, you know, which like
Yeah.
that's a little ambitious, but if that was a thing, you know, we could get 100 points against them, then it's like okay, like although they're not going to be trying their hardest, like they're still good enough to pass. Like their passive
Yeah.
skill is still going to be better than our like trying skill, but at least we can see where we stand. You know, like I think it would just be epic just to visit them and even say hi, and then if it got to that point, be able to play a scrim where we get demolished but have some fun, you know, or like maybe play eights, you know, play eights
Yeah.
with all four of us, you know, but.
But yeah. Speaking of formal, I want to go ahead and talk about this and ask your opinion on this. You know, speaking of formal and being retired and all that, you know, obviously he wants to take a break from Call of Duty for at least a year. He wants to take Vanguard off. I don't blame him. I understand, you know, what
It's a
happened with the
World War
last
II
World War
game, you
II.
know.
You
Once
know,
the
what
exosuits
happened
come
with that
back,
last
once
freaking thing.
like I said, we've had this conversation before, but
Yeah,
you know,
but once the jetpacks and stuff,
like
that's
I
been
don't think
rumored
he's
to
gonna
come back.
hesitate. I think if when jetpacks come back, bro, he's not even gonna hesitate, and he's gonna be like, yeah, I want to be here, you know.
Yeah. Well, basically, I bring this up to talk to you guys about the fact that, from what I've heard, Formal, like straight from the horse's mouth, Formal talked about the fact that he got an offer for a Halo team, but he's trying to set it up to where he can be on that Halo team and play for their organization, but still be under Optic.
It's not like a conflict of interest. Like,
Yeah, it's kind of like the whole phase sensor situation with last year. Like he was phase sensor, but he's playing under different organizations to like while he played you know, challengers and stuff like that. So that's what he's trying to do. He's trying to be able to set it up to where he can play Halo and he can still stay on Optic and, you know, have the best of both worlds. And pretty much like if he decides he wants to stay with Halo, then he might do that. But I think he wants to set it up to where if he decides he wants to come back to Call of Duty,
he has that option. He's like that foot in the door.
Yeah, and I think he's trying. I don't know if it would even be possible to compete in Halo and Call of Duty at the same time. But I think if anybody could do it, I think Formal could for sure. I just don't know if it would be like a conflict of the schedule and like, you know, because you can only be at one place at one time. You can't be at two places at once.
Like all the practice and scrimming that would have to go into both. You would literally have no time, and your mental health would go down the drain.
Yeah, it's already. I mean, look at all the people that's retiring because they don't want to do it just for, you know, one pro.
Look at, you know,
one freaking esport.
An example of this is like I'm gonna be rather short with this, but look at Clay last year. The team was doing great. You know, the team came close to winning many majors. They literally got second in multiple majors. You know, and like they played really well. And then, you know, Hydra came in. He fucking ran everybody's shit. You know, he was slamming,
dropping 1.3s on everybody's head. Freaking dominated for that whole event.
And, you know, and then wow, right before champs, you know, like what got your foot in the door to champs, you know, I'm gonna take a break, you know, I'm gonna, you know, like I understand in that situation, like your mental health goes absolutely down the drain. But when you're that close to success, you kind of have to like, you know, sacrifice yourself a little bit just so like I think that if they would have been able to have Clay still and keep the same momentum, I feel like they could have easily, instead of having like Ultra versus FaZe, I think it could have definitely been either Ultra versus NYSL or FaZe versus NYSL at the last. You know, if they were playing the way they have been before Clay quit, I think that's definitely a possibility.
Yeah, I mean, I think what's interesting about that is I agree with you. I think they like I even could have seen a situation where they stuck together. I think, you know, before I had heard everything that was said, like behind the scenes, I was thinking like, oh, why would they split their team up? Like Asim and Hydra's a damn good sub duo, and then you got freaking Clayster and Mac. Like that's, you know, Mac is a good flex. He can run both. Like Clayster, your main AR. I was like, that's a damn good squad. Like, y'all should keep it. They're steady getting, like, yeah, they came out slamming. They were steady getting worse, but like they could have turned it around. But that was always what I was, thinking. Like, yeah, they can fix it. They can
It's
turn it
kind of
around.
like how Dallas was
But
with Hook, how they were like kind of like they up in front they were cool, but like when behind the scenes they were talking shit to each other and like
yeah,
kind of hazing.
and I was like wondering, like, why the hell aren't these guys gonna stick? Like, I didn't know that behind the scenes these guys were like pointing the finger at each other, like, saying this guy did it, no, it's his fault,
Like you have to come
this
together as a team. Like that sounds a lot like
and
why our team for the most part didn't succeed. Like I'd still want to try to work on that, but that's why we didn't succeed like last year really.
well, yeah, and it was a lot of just pointing fingers, name calling, and saying like, oh, well, this guy needs to be doing this, or a lot of just bickering back and forth, shit talking each other. Like it was just internal drama, and all that back and forth made it to where before you knew it, like that led to Clay wanting to bench himself, and then Clay came back. They talked about like fixing a lot of things, stuff like that. But they finally, in the end, decided it wasn't going to work. They're just not going to stick. But I overall thought I thought they had a good shot at, having a pretty solid team going into Vanguard.
Mm-hmm.
But, obviously we don't know all the things that go on behind the scenes.
What exactly, like who exactly did Clay say that he wasn't really compatible with? Because, like, I know him and Asim seemed pretty tight.
That's
like,
what I always thought.
Like him and Asim seemed like they were like best friends almost, like Scump and Formalhauer.
I thought the same thing, but then he said, I guess, you know how Asim would always go on the flank.
Yeah.
Well, I guess like when they were having all those troubles and like when all that was going on, like he kind of mentioned the things about like he talked about Clay like benching himself, and like he talked about their internal affairs and all that, and he kind of like aired out all their dirty laundry, and I don't know if that led to part of them arguing or what, but apparently it was almost like Asim was stepping up to that leadership role. And it was almost like he was butting heads with Clay because, I mean, to me, it seemed like they were working off each other great. Like, they were complimenting each other. They were freaking, one person would pick up the slack where the other person was, slacking.
That's why NYSL kind of, like, succeeded. Like, okay, as you look at, like, the previous guide, you look at, like, MW. NYSL kind of, like, sucked. And then you look at NYSL and Cold War, and I was like, NYSL like completely stepped up their game, like they were playing really well, and then like I said, once everybody started butting heads, that's the same situation with Dallas. That's why everybody in both teams just started playing a lot worse, and it just caused so many problems.
Yeah, I mean, because initially I was like, yeah, that's one of the best sub duos in the game in my opinion. You have Asim, who's god tier, and he's freaking doing all the dirty work. He's being the route man. Like, he was doing the damn thing. And then you have Hydra, who's just being that roaming slayer. He's just out and about fucking killing it. And, dropping 1.3s on people's heads. And it was amazing. And all that. And you have Clay locking down the spawns, doing his thing.
Like, it was like a well-oiled machine. Like, that's why that team succeeded against, like, although it's a bottom 16, that's why it succeeded against... Literally, I believe
FaZe.
I'm not sure.
FaZe, like
I was gonna say
it was like I believe it was like the first game of. It wasn't the major, but what do you call it? Like going into
the expedition match, kind of the opening,
stage.
The opening. I forget what it's like the.
I think it was just like the stage 4 like matches, like not the major 4 or nothing like that or whatever.
I know what you're talking
about. But it
about,
was like one of those. It was, I don't know if it was major 3 or 4. It was one of those.
They dominated FaZe. Hardcore.
Yeah, they came out and they smoked FaZe. They even beat them in the freaking APOC hardpoint, which FaZe is insane at. Like they came out freaking slamming, and then they were like what 10-0, 9 or 10-0 in hardpoint. They came out, they couldn't lose a hardpoint, and like they were just slamming everybody, and they were even having
it's like how Optic was at the beginning of the season.
Yeah, dude, and Optic's control pretty much like for the whole like first half of the year was god.
It was literally like perfect COD. Like
especially them on Checkmate. They wouldn't lose a round on Checkmate for the most part, and then when they did, it was only like they lost a defense. You couldn't win an offense round against them in the beginning of the year on Checkmate.
And
wild.
like with them, like Optic start like Optic like this is why I wanted like Major One Optic. If they would have continued, bro, they would have been a damn good S&D team, the best respawn team. I know that's controversial because FaZe has better vibes than Optic does for the most part, but like Optic, if for those that don't really know or like watch the CDL but don't really like watch it like all like that, for the first major, Optic didn't drop a single control map on raid. They didn't drop a single raid map in general, and then they were like, I think like 10-0 for hardpoint and control together. Like they literally didn't drop a respawn. They only dropped S&D, and it was like sometimes they would get blown out in S&D, but even sometimes in S&D it was like very close games. But
Yeah, and I'm pretty sure on the control, on checkmate control specifically, for the whole first half of the year, they were like 6-0 on checkmate control. Like
yeah.
nobody would play them on it for so long just because of that.
Going back to the beginning topic, because I kind of want to segue into another topic here in a minute. But going with that, I don't know if Halo's on controller, mouse, and key. I'm assuming controller, but I'm not sure.
I would assume, yeah.
But considering I'm not sure if he's been a CS pro, but like he was damn good at CS. He's damn good at Valorant. He's a COD pro, and he was a pro at Halo. So like, I see it as a reality as him coming back to that, and I'm kind of scared if he does, because once he gets back into like Halo, he's gonna forget why he quit the game, and then he's gonna go back and like obviously when exo suits come back out, 3D movement. As long as he's not too in depth with all of that, he would probably come back. But like if he's in depth in Halo, I don't see him coming back personally.
Well, I think he will, just because, like he even said, he's getting offers, but he's even trying to make sure before he accepts any offers to a Halo team, he wants to stay under the Optic brand. And of course, like that doesn't necessarily mean he's coming back. He could just want to stay under the Optic brand as like
a loophole. It gives him like a connect.
Yeah, and he could want to just stay under Optic because it's like he's gonna be a content creator. He's gonna stream, do stuff like that. And that would make sense as well. But I want to I tend to believe, and I want to believe that the thing that he's gonna do is he's gonna take a year or two off, and he's gonna come back when Call of Duty is on a different time period. I was gonna say in a better state, but we all know that's
never
not
gonna
really...
be in a better state. It's gonna be just a different time period.
That's so like if it's a different time period, different feel, different
plus
core,
I don't think like it would
gameplay.
Him being under the Optic name and being able to have or access to things in Optic, I think that makes it like at this point like I could be wrong, but him and Scump are pretty much best friends. Like it doesn't, not even on like a professional level, but like on a personal level, they're pretty much best friends for the most part.
Yeah.
So I see him trying to keep that foot in the door as before, like himself, as well as like it's way easier to talk to his boy if he can just walk in the HQ whenever they're not scrimming and be like, hey, what's up,
Yeah.
But that being said, something I kind of want to talk about that was related to like the COVID situation that we discussed earlier is like how the economy has kind of like changed because of COVID. How shit, like I watched actually a news article on this earlier this week. So a few things. I did a study for an English assignment. It was a simple assignment, but it was whatever. So I did like how COVID affected us and like ways like that. It kind of tanked our economy. It like I did some research, and so basically from 2015 to current 2021, the US dollar has depreciated by 13%, which that might not seem like a lot. However, something that would have costed $870 back then, which this is a weird number, but this is an easy number, obviously. What would have costed $870 in 2015 now costs $1,000. Which, that doesn't sound like a lot, but if you go over millions and billions of dollars of all the products we have, you're paying millions and billions extra because of inflation. Another example of this is with gas. Last year, because no one was really out, the average gas price was down by 15%. And now with, with everybody out back again, with gas prices being damn near $4 up here in the northern side. I don't know what it's like for you guys, but
It's like at least it's between anywhere from 3 to like 360,
Yeah,
something
ours is
around
like
there. Like
ours is getting up there. It's like almost $4. Like it's not like $3.99, but like it's like within 20 or 30 cents off of $4. But
yeah,
not only that, but like I said, with the recent studies, it showed that how since like the average, like it wasn't going off of last year, it was going off of the average. It was 43% higher than the average, and then if you consider last year to this year, that would be a 58% increase of fuel
wow,
price since last year. So
that's crazy.
you're paying 1.58% higher than, what you were then, which
Yeah,
is crazy. It also like changed the way that our flu studies were changed, like I think that a reason because of it, like my history teacher even brought up this as a idea that, like I said, how the influenza cases kind of decreased drastically because all these precautions were taken because of COVID, but also
yeah.
a lot.
Nowadays you can't be sick; everything's
Yeah,
covered.
as well as like I'm pretty sure a lot of those flu cases were counted as COVID cases, so that was like not as accurate. But it was also kind of just discussing in general, like how COVID like changed, like obviously this was the whole paper, but it basically discussed how our ways of life and how our standards have changed. Like now everywhere it's standard to have a mask on you just in case the building makes it mandatory. A lot of places like colleges have to have the vaccine, which I know that's why like you're kind of in a really rock and a hard place kind of
Yeah,
situation. You know, as well as like oh, some places you have to have a vaccination card, or like if you're an anti-vaxxer, this, that, and the other. And like everywhere it just changed us, but it also was like,
basically, not to cut you
no,
off,
you're
but
good.
basically what you're getting at is basically our whole what normal is
Our new, yeah,
changed.
that's what I'm saying. Like our like
Basically,
standards have changed differently.
to quote what Mama Charms has said, for those of you who don't know, that's my mom.
She's gonna whip
To
your ass,
quote,
isn't she? For not
yeah,
wanting to go to
probably.
college.
Yeah, probably she's going to. But she does understand at the end of the day. She hates the situation that it's in, but she realizes like I didn't do it to myself, type of
Yeah.
deal. Um, but basically, like what she says, and she said this multiple times. She's like, "When are we gonna get back to normal?"
That
And it's like I
there's
told her, I'm like, this is the new normal. Like wearing a mask and, because she's one of those that she doesn't have asthma or anything, but she has a tough time breathing with that
right.
mask on. She's
Mhm.
like suffocating. And
Especially if the mask, like depending on what because like like the banding, like for
yeah,
instance the N95 masks, those are really good, but the medical masks, if you inhale, like if you get out of like a PE class, or if you're running up and down steps at school, and you're like inhaling via your mouth, like that mask just sucks to your face, and it's basically the same thing that suffocate. It's the same thing that someone does if they throw a trash bag over your face.
yeah. And she works at a Dollar General. So like they had it mandatory for the longest time for her to wear a mask. And
Mm-hmm.
it's hard enough for her to just walk around wearing a mask. Well, she had to work and wear it. And so that became like a whole ordeal. Well, she's like, when are we going to go back to normal? I'm tired of wearing this thing. I'm like, Mom, unfortunately,
Not
that
going
is the
to.
new normal. Like, that's what you do now. You walk around with them. And, like, thankfully, well, I don't know if it's really a good or a bad thing, but for me, it's good because, like, I don't really care personally, but it's just one less annoying thing. Like, I don't have to wear a mask in, like, 90% of places I want to go
Yeah,
here in Texas because, not to get political, but
but it is
basically,
yeah.
it's a whole it's a whole freaking ordeal here. Most people are anti-vax and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So a lot of places don't require it. They don't even say like, some places will say like mask is recommended, but they
It's
won't like tell you
they
it's
won't make it
required.
mandatory. You know.
Yeah. So, like, and obviously it's been mandatory at different times here. It's not like it's never been mandatory, but like basically they're very lenient and generous about like, oh, it's going away, we'll be fine type of
Yeah,
deal.
they're
It's
very
like,
nonchalant.
yeah. Yeah.
Um,
So, they've never been as strict when it comes to like large gatherings, all kinds of things. Like, yeah, we've had those, but it's not been as restricted as in a
yeah,
lot of other
like in
places.
my schools, actually, our governor, like I don't really mind it because I think it's for the better. But since our
Yeah, I
school
remember
doesn't,
this.
Yeah, our school doesn't have mandatory vaccines, which I personally, like I said, I'm not an anti-vaxxer, but I don't want it. So I would have to do cyber schooling if that were the case, because I would not, like, if that was mandatory to have a vaccine, it's not going to happen.
It's in the works right now, unfortunately.
Yeah. You know, and that being said, like, I don't mind the mask situation, but with in Northerns, like obviously, I'm when it comes to politics, I am neutral. I like both parties for certain opinions and thoughts and all that. But the Northern states, this is not really a political thing. This is a fact. It's more Democratic parties than Republican
Yeah.
parties. So obviously they're going to be more mask oriented. I'm not saying that, all Republicans are, anti-mask, anti-vaxxers, and all Democrats are
Yeah.
for vaccines and all that. Like, I'm not saying that. I'm just
That's
saying
just the general
it's
consensus.
it's a trend. It's this trend with everything. It's the consensus of it. But
Yeah.
up here there's a mandatory mask mandation for schools, which I don't really mind that. That's cool. Like, I'm surprisingly, considering how bad the students are in that school where I'm at, they actually follow their mask rules kind of for the like they pretty well, you know. But I don't know what it's like down in Texas, but like I said, here in PA,
Yeah, they have it mandatory for like all medical places and
yeah,
all
that makes sense.
like school facilities, like colleges,
Yeah,
schools, hospitals, all medical facilities, stuff like that. But then like if you want to go to the bank, they say mask recommended.
yeah, it's
If you
not
go to the
like
grocery
yeah,
store, there's like or Walmart, they don't make you do that.
yeah,
Like here at least.
yeah. I guess yeah. One further thing, like I think we have time for about one more topic after this before we can start wrapping things up. However, with the whole this is one of the main things that I want to discuss actually about the whole vaccine situation. Is if you do follow the news, I don't know if you do or not. I follow the news to a certain degree.
Yeah, same.
So if you're
I
not,
don't watch it religiously, but
yeah,
I, pick up on certain like major
yeah.
topics.
But with that being said, I want to know your opinions. I want to give my opinions and all that. And have you heard of Pfizer wanting to get their vaccine approved by the FDA for like adolescents and like minors and all those that are like from like kindergarten or K through 5th grade or whatever. Like,
Yeah.
how do you feel about that? Do you feel like they're putting them in a greater risk? Like, they
Yeah, I
are.
think I know what you're talking
They
about. I
are.
think not to cut you off here, Mike, but I think I know. I heard something about. I believe the age
Mhm,
range was 5 to 11.
mhm,
That's what they're trying to get approved now.
yeah.
So yeah, that's about that same range that you're talking about. But yeah, continue. What were you saying?
But yeah, like I think personally, uh, since like the majority of children, it's both extremes. It's young children and the elderly. It's not like people my age, your age, that really have a very negative effect from COVID. Like
Yeah.
when I mean negative, I mean like a fatal or like close to fatal, like very
Yeah.
severe, you know. But
Yeah.
I personally think that it can be good, but considering some of the circumstances, it can be bad. It has like a trade off. But I want like your opinions on it real quick, and then I guess we can go through one more topic before we we can go through like one more topic before we wrap things up.
Yeah. So I mean, I think like it's unfortunate that it's basically like, oh, these kids who are 5 to 11 years old, they're not capable of making their own. Like, yeah, they can make decisions, but yeah,
They
if
don't
they
really have a
can't, like,
choice.
it's with the whole thing. With them, they say, oh, you're too young to consent. You can't, like, if they say, oh, well, if you can be statutory raped, where you can't give consent. Even if you did consent, you can't consent, you're too young. Well, okay, if you can't give consent, you're too young for certain things like that. In my opinion, they're too young to sit there and be like, oh, well, we're going to force this on you because we think this is what's good for you. And even if it's not the government or somebody else doing that, it'll be the whole, like, even if they give the parents free will to do that, then it's like, okay, well, then it's just the parents, whatever their view is, their kid
Yeah,
instantly has to go by that, because it's
like
like, oh, well, I think you should have the vaccine, so I'm giving it to
That's like
you.
for
Like,
those that are like anti-vaxxers, and then those that are vaxxers, and that's like, oh, you know, I can't stand that whole debate. Just how I can't, like, this is very controversial, and to be honest, I don't really give a single fuck about the whole gender thing. You know, I'm against the whole more than two genders bullshit, and also against, like the whole anti-vaxxer versus vaxxer thing. Like, at the end of the day, do your own thing. You have your own beliefs, but don't try to force that shit on other people, because you're just looking like a dumbass if you do. And
you know,
once again, with the whole gender thing, I'm not referring to people of different sexuality. I'm referring to people identifying as a fucking attack helicopter. You
yeah,
know,
the people who
it's getting
get
to
silly with the
it's getting very extreme. Like, you like one or you like the other, whatever, cool. But don't say, oh, I like this at this time, but not at this time. I don't like that. Like, it's just too extreme.
But yeah, so with that whole situation, it's almost like, you're forcing it on these kids. And
Yeah.
I get the whole situation that people are saying, well, they're like, oh, well, this COVID vaccine, it's like similar to the other vaccinations we give them when they're babies. It's like, yeah,
That's a little bit. It's a different principle, though. That's a very
that
different
goes along
principle.
with the whole situation. They're saying now they're talking about trying to get it approved where they can make it to where in one injection you get the flu shot and you get the COVID vaccine all
But
at
I
once.
feel like that could have a very bad result, because if the two, like the two chemicals, if they're like, obviously they would do their testing, but if someone's allergic to the, like, if the two chemicals in each vaccine plus the antibodies collide and form a new chemical, and that person is allergic or hyperallergic to that new compound or chemical or whatever, then they could have very severe consequences.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know all the ins and outs, obviously, but I think like regardless, they shouldn't put it just because it's FDA approved is what's causing all the problems. That's why they're like mandating it in so many places and like
Mm-hmm.
forcing it on people is because it was FDA approved. If it wasn't FDA approved, they wouldn't be able to force people to do this and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Then they're like, "Oh, well, it's FDA approved, so we'll just try to get it to where the less the shots people have to get, the better. We'll put the COVID shot in with the flu shot, and then they'll be good to go." And it's like, no, dude, like, there's so many people.
There's a
Like, once
reason
again, I
why
feel
you
like
get
it's
them
being
separate.
forced.
Like, there's a
Yeah.
specific reason behind it.
Yeah, I mean, I just feel like it's being forced, like on not just the kids, but on so many people. Like I said before, all those health professionals. That's why so many nurses quit and so many people quit. I mean, there's plenty of teachers that quit over this whole situation as well. Them being forced to do it.
Yeah.
And I think with a lot of teachers being older and a lot of the younger kids and stuff like that, they're trying to prioritize them first. But in my opinion, it's like if they're more vulnerable, like I get you want to go ahead and get them vaccinated, I get that. But it's like if they're more vulnerable, I don't understand why directly exposing them to it is the best way to go. But you
Yeah.
know,
Is there any?
it's always going to be something that's going to be debated. You know how it is, Mike. It's
Yeah.
one of those things
You can't
people
please
are
any.
never
You can't
gonna.
please everybody. If you
Yeah, they're
like.
not gonna change their view on it.
Yeah. Is there anything, like, I could probably think of something here, but is there anything specifically you wanted to speak about for about 10 minutes before we kind of like segue into like our whole closure and everything like that?
Yeah, we got like 18 minutes here before we can before we officially like hit what I would consider the 2.5 hour mark.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, nothing really more on the whole COVID situation. I feel like I've said all that. Like
Yeah.
we've talked about it. We don't want to beat a dead horse at this
Yeah.
point. But I mean, for the most part, I think that the main issue I have with it is I feel like my freedom is being limited because it's like, oh, I thought I had freedom of choice. I thought I could choose not to get this vaccine. And then if I choose not to get it, which,
You look
hurts
different. You're
me.
looked at differently.
Yeah. I'm not only looked at differently, but now I'm limited to the places I can go. I can't,
Yeah.
go certain places. And then, like, what I'm concerned with is, like I said, it's a slippery slope. You start with the restaurants and the schools and the colleges, and then it starts to go to the airports, and then it starts to go,
Yeah.
even further. And then before you know it, you need a COVID vaccine just to get into the damn grocery store. And then it's like, well, what if I live in a, like, here at a place where I live, they're not going to deliver groceries. I'm in the middle of East Texas. Like, we live in a town of 1,300 people. There's no way, like, the, the only store that we have here is a grocery, like a small
Like a
little, like,
general
and it's not
store,
even
like a convenience store.
yeah, it's like an oversized convenience store that has, like, it's like a Buc-ee's type place, if
Yeah.
anyone knows what that is. Um, but outside of that, like, we have to go to the next town over, which is a bigger town, to get all of our stuff. Well, if if you don't live in a bigger city, you're not getting your stuff delivered. That doesn't
Fuck no.
exist. So
Yeah.
if you can't get your stuff delivered, you can't go in the place. What are you gonna have to
You're
then
just fucked.
do? Some, like, you're like a teenaged.
You would have to, like, hire one of your friends that is vaccinated as, like, a fence, because, like, well, fence is like a universal term. It's
you're
like the
like
middleman.
You're like a teenaged high schooler
Trying to
who's
get
like paying somebody to go
nicotine
buy
stick.
the booze.
Yeah.
You're like, hey, go buy me some alcohol, or
Give me a joke,
whatever.
Give me,
Go
give me
go
a
buy
dab
me
pen.
this.
Yeah.
You're like, yeah, it's like almost like you're trying to buy something illegal or do something shady and, like, under the table, and it's like, no, I'm just trying to get some groceries so me and my family can eat. Like, and I mean, it goes. Obviously, I don't want to go too deep into this, but it's crazy how for years now, obviously Mike knows this and anybody that knows me knows this, but for years now I've been interested in, like, living off the land, doing things like living off the grid, like
hunting, gathering, and bushcraft and shit.
Yeah, like wanting to garden, wanting to have, like, a greenhouse, like wanting to have, like, solar power, like wind power, have, like, wells on the property, just being self-sufficient, like being able to have all that. Because, like, if that ever became an issue to where it's like, oh, you can't get your groceries delivered, okay, well, it's fine, because I don't ever need to go to the store for groceries, except for, like, some of the most, like, off the wall things that you want. But it's like, for the most part, any produce, stuff like that, you're growing. Like, obviously I'm not talking a full-blown ranch with, like, livestock and all that, but I'd at least like to grow all my own vegetables. Anything that I could grow, I'd like to grow. I think that'd be a really unique experience. But the problem is how much it all costs. Like, to build a greenhouse alone is insane, and then to fill it up with plants and like
you have to make sure
seeds
your
and all that.
pesticides aren't poisonous and shit like that.
Yeah, and then you got, on top of that, the well on the property. That's
water's
10
amazing.
grand. I mean, you think about how much it is just to drill a well, like, and you would most likely want at least 2 on the property.
Yeah.
Depending on how big your place is, you might even want more. And then you got to worry, and then you might want, like, to set up some wind turbines. Those are hella expensive. You have to have them, like,
so it's either get the vaccine or get fucked by everything else.
Yeah, it's either, do I want to get the vaccine and just be able to go everywhere, or do I want to say screw it and spend tens of thousands of dollars to be able to set up everything so I could live and be self-sufficient? It's either way, you're screwed. Like, it's a whole ordeal.
I have since we have a little bit before we can do our outro, because our outro it only takes like 2 or 3 minutes for the most part.
Yeah.
I was thinking to leave like 10 minutes, but at this point I think we should be okay with, like,
I mean, we only got like 14 minutes. We only got like 14 minutes to go, so we can't. We got like a 10 minutes. 10 minutes to talk
so
here.
Something that I kind of wanted to talk about for a while now, but we had like other things with the podcast going on. Like, we had our the first and second episode, which were very specific. Something that I wanted to talk about, which it really isn't as relevant now, but it is kind of relevant. And I know you don't really have as much information on the topic, but something that I found interesting was the import tariff on Russian 762, and I was wondering if you had any thoughts on that, as well as, like, our overall consensus on that.
I mean, like, okay, I get it. They're trying to, like, limit people and, like, how deadly somebody can be. Like, I get it. But at the same time, my issue with that is like, if somebody has a vendetta, right? Like, if someone truly just has their mindset, like, hey, I'm going out and killing everybody.
They're gonna get on the black market, or they're gonna
find a way. They're gonna, people think, like, oh, they think taking away guns or taking away, limiting that, like,
that's gonna hurt civilians, and it's gonna hurt civilians and good gun owners, and then those that are doing everything illegally, it's not gonna affect them at all. It's just gonna affect the good people, because the criminals and the civilians, they don't get their shit from gun stores anyways. They get the shit off the black market, and, like, untraceable gun dealers and shit like that. So your only thing you're doing is hurting your own country, your own environment of the good people, and then letting those criminals thrive because, like, this kind of enters the whole situation with like de-arming or disarming, like, police and shit. Like, at that point, they're just sitting ducks. There's no even point of even having police and shit like that, as well as.
Well, look at the whole UK situation. I mean, they de-armed their police, and it's like, dude, anytime you have some crazy drug dealer up there that wants to do, anything crazy, they pull out a gun, and then it's like, what are the police gonna do? Beat them to death with batons? Like, no, that's not. It's not a thing.
Like, I even seen this post on Facebook. It wasn't my post, and like I don't really peep Facebook anymore. But one of my family members kind of sent it to me, and it was basically like a meme. This is whenever disarming police was like an actual thing, like it was the actual trend. They were like, oh, well, we're going to send our 81-year-old social worker named Bethel over to your place to talk out this hostage situation. I'm like, the fuck?
like that's going to help something.
Yeah, they were like, oh, you might have to be there a while because she walks a little bit slow. She has a walker. I'm like, okay, cool. But as well as that, is in that sense, not only is it hurting the good guys, it's also making the good guys less defenseless, and not just because of 7.62 itself, because most homeowners, they own a 9mm, a 45, or a 38, and then when it comes to rifles, they own like a 5.45 or 5.56 by 4.4 or 5.56 by 45. My bad. Or they own like a 223 or something like that. They don't really own AKs, and like some of them do because AK is one of the most, like in America, AK like M4s are more of the base platform, but in most countries and even here it is pretty popular. The AK platform is like the most popular platform there is. So in that sense, all that's doing is jacking up the 7.62 prices for like the legit civilians that are like innocent, And, like, it's just making ammo go through the roof. Like, there are sites where you can buy ammo that's cheap as fuck. But, like, even for, like, let's say 45 or 9mm or 357 rounds, you're paying, like, $2, $3, $4, $5 fucking dollars for one round. And I'm like, if you're buying, like, a box of 50, you're spending, like, between 50 and $100. Like, that's... I could understand if it was, like, 50 cal rounds or, like, 308, but, like... fucking 9mm, there's no way you're gonna charge me $40 or $50 for a box of 9mm. Like, I'm sorry,
Yeah.
And like,
I mean, it's crazy to me. Like I said, if somebody really has a problem with someone, like say me and you really had beef, and if I was really bound and determined, I mean, it's not like, oh, what are you gonna do? Get rid of everything that's lethal? Even non-lethal things
you
like
can kill
a
somebody
pin
with
or
your
a
bare
pencil,
hands.
or
you can choke,
you can. I mean, there's multiple different ways to break someone's neck, all kinds of things. So my point is it's like I use the same argument with locks, right?
Mm-hmm.
If I have a lock on my house, right, I could leave my house unlocked every day of my life and be perfectly fine. I could lock my house every day and be perfectly fine. Or I could, same thing for both. I could never lock my house, and that could be the death of me. Or I could lock my house, somebody kicks the damn door in, breaks the lock off the door, and still shoots me in the face. My point is like, a lock is for honest people. Like, if somebody walks up and they try to get in your house and, oh, it's locked. Like, if somebody wants to break into your house, they're assuming your house is locked up. They're prepared to enter a different way, either break a window, kick the door in, whatever. So locks are for honest people. Just like sitting here and saying, oh, we're going to limit their guns. It'll cut down on killing. No. Even if they completely took away guns and managed, obviously this would never happen.
In a hypothetical
situation, in a hypothetical situation, if they got rid of every gun that existed in America,
every gun, all that would they'd have to get rid of your hands too. Like, come on now.
Well, I'm just saying, even like, let's just say guns. You get rid of all the guns. Okay, well, that ain't gonna stop me from going and stabbing somebody. Or, like I said, if I really have a vendetta against somebody and I want them dead, there's a million ways to go about it. So it doesn't. I mean, hell, just hit them. Vehicular manslaughter is a thing. There's all kinds of things. I'm not suggesting anybody do anything. So don't take it out of context.
Disclaimer, guys.
I'm not here to give you guys tips and tricks by any means. But I'm just saying, if somebody has a problem with somebody, they're gonna find a way to
Yeah.
get rid of that person. All
Um.
right. So limiting the guns and the ammo and all that, I think like it could, like I understand their reasoning behind it, like, and I understand it, but to me, what they don't understand and what they're not taking into account is they're not like, it's like when they go into Call of Duty, right, and they see there's a gun that's overpowered, and we'll take the Spitfire from Black Ops 4. All right, they won't nerf it the right way. They'll address it, but they'll address it the
That's
wrong
how
way.
Rainbow Six does
They're
it.
like,
They nerf
they're
things that
like,
doesn't need to be
oh,
nerfed.
they're like, oh, the Spitfire, yeah, it's OP. We're gonna give it more recoil, even though it already has insane recoil. It's like the recoil on it's not the problem. Like, you literally need to lower the fire rate.
Yeah.
It just need to. But my point is they don't handle it the right way. And it's the same thing with, okay, I get it. You're trying to limit shootings. You're trying to limit all
But
these
most
things.
shootings
There's
aren't
other
even
way to
with
go about it.
7.62. It's with
Yeah.
a handgun caliber, or maybe like a mass shooting is with a M4 platform. And that being said, with the whole the honesty lock situation, that's like having family members that were in the military, family members that are retired police officers that have been retired police officer that it's been running in like the chain and all that. Like, you look for things, right? And like, for instance, every time we moved into a different house, like since last time we moved into our old house, and this new house, right? So our old house, we had window, like it was an older house, but it had sections of window, like really thin windows on each side of the door. And I'm like, this is fucking stupid. Someone could, like, obviously, like, you can hurt yourself, but if you have like a thick set of leather gloves,
you can break the window, unlock it,
unlock the deadbolt, do all of that. Now, with our house now, that's something that I also seen. It wasn't the sides of the wall. It was the wooden door. The giant sheet of metal, or not metal, giant sheet of glass. Just punch
inside
that shit,
door.
unlock the doors. Now, mind you, like, these are things that I think about, but considering what, like, things that have been changed, I'm not worried about those directly for multiple reasons. Like, the first reason is because of certain circumstances, like with my uncle being mentally challenged, we have key locks for the deadbolt on both sides. So you have to have a key to get out of the fucking house. Unless you go through, like, the garage. That's whatever.
Yeah.
So that doesn't bother me because they literally have to kick the fucking door down. And if that happens, I have someone over here that as soon as I hear someone, there's one in the pipe, so I don't have to worry about that. However, that being said, that's another thing. You have to worry about that. And, like, I don't worry about it personally because I have someone that can protect me. I know how to operate a firearm myself. That shit doesn't bother me. But you have to think that all of the people, like, let's say if it wasn't just 7.62 that had a tariff, like, it was, like, 9 mils, like, okay, all the handgun calibers except for, like, 22, because 22, like, it'll still kill you, but it's more of a joke. Like, it's it's a hobby round, But, like, 357, 38, 9 mil, 45, stuff like that, they put a tariff on that so you can only have, only, like, 10 rounds in one box, and it's, like, $100. Like, that's unreasonable, but still, that hurts us, firearm owners, us hobbyists, as well as, it also hurts the fact that,
it hurts your criminals and your school shooters.
It's like hurting you because you can't defend your family against these people that have a surplus of everything because of the fact that it doesn't matter to them because they're above the law in a sense because they can get everything off the black market. So with that being said, if you're not one of these people that have super good awareness of like what's happening around you, and you're a gun owner, which you should be if you are a gun owner, but if you're not, it's going to end up hurting you because someone else is, negligent and like, I can't think of the word exactly, but, irresponsible for lack of a better term, in that sense. So like, it's not really helping us. It's hurting us and benefiting them. So I feel like it's something that you just have to like be really educated on to know. But
it's like you're limiting the good citizens. It's not like it's not affecting anybody who's a criminal,
It's
because
the
they're gonna go.
same.
They're not going the traditional route. Like, they're not hitting up gun stores, stuff like that. Like,
Yeah,
they're gonna be getting all their stuff through the
yeah,
black market, doing it the wrong
yeah.
way for
And
sure. So
one last thing, because we are about reaching that mark. Last thing.
yeah,
This being said, guys, complete brain lapse. I guess two things. This not really irrelevant, but I also have a doormat on my front door that says, make sure you, for lack of a better term, make sure you get right with Jesus before you enter this door or break in
yeah,
this door, because we'll tell him you're coming. But with that, it's the same with the whole hurting the citizens and then benefiting the criminals. It's the same thing as taking from the poor and giving to the rich. It's the same principle for the most part. But
yeah.
without further
You made
ado,
me real quick. You made me think of this, so I have to say it. My aunt has a sign on her property that says, "We don't reach for the phone, we reach for the gun,"
yeah, I've
and
also
it straight up says, "Trespassers will be shot."
yeah I've also seen signs that, like, this was before like ammo was like a concern. The sign literally says, "Due to recent ammo price changes, we do not fire warning shots." You
Yeah,
know, but
when they made them cheaper back in the
yeah,
day.
you know, like I said, guys, I guess we can start promoting everything before we hit our outro. As you can see at the bottom of the screen, I actually was able to put it in. They're not really all leveled together because I didn't have a whole lot of time to do that, as well as like
We're getting it together,
our overlays with like our whole camera situation. It's not the best, but we're making it work and getting it fixed. But
little by little.
With that being said, guys, make sure if you're on the stream version of the podcast, make sure to drop a like, hit a comment, hit that subscribe button if you're new, hit the notification bell, get notified of every time we stream here on the Blind Rage Podcast. Or if, you're also here on my main channel, which is being streamed on as for, like, my content itself, which is, like, COD content, Rainbow Six content, stuff like that. As well as make sure to check out the Blind Rage Podcast. Link should be in the description or on the featured channel page. Make sure to check out both of Nick's channels, Blind Nick and Blind but Deadly, where this boy literally slams everybody in Call of Duty, plays the competitive scene, as well as gets the mastery camo in pretty much every COD.
Yep.
Also, check out my Twitch, Next MRV on Twitch, where I have been streaming. I haven't been able to stream very much this week, but at one point this month, I was on a 15 streaming streak. So we're trying to get back into that whenever I have more free time. Also, Nick doesn't, at the moment, Nick doesn't stream on, I'm sorry?
To mention, because I know what you're about to say, the Twitch is Blind but Deadly now as well. So it's the same as my second channel on YouTube. So my second channel is Blind but Deadly.
I'll have to change it then, because
for
in the
YouTube,
overlay I have this to ICTV.
And yeah, well, I just
Yeah.
noticed that, and I wanted
forgot
to
about
throw
that.
that out there. But yeah, just I mean, like like Mike was gonna say, I don't ever really stream on it or do much on it.
But if it does
But when
happen.
I do plan on getting an Xbox, and obviously you can't stream to YouTube via Xbox unless you have like and Elgato and stuff like that.
Mhm.
But I'm not doing that whole thing. So streaming to Twitch is my option that I do there. So if I ever do get my Xbox, the new Xbox One X, not the newest, like the Series X, but I want to do the Xbox One X. If I can ever get that sorted and everything, then I will like to play like some different games, like try out Grounded, play some Halo, maybe go back and play some of the old school Call of Duty Zombies, stuff like that. So if that's something you're ever interested in, y'all go drop me a follow over there. But yeah, appreciate all the support on all the episodes, episode 3 so far. And yeah, I think we're doing pretty good, Mike. I think we're getting this knocked out.
One thing before we finally do the outro, like I said, guys, make sure to follow and subscribe to all the social medias below. We're gonna try to keep you guys posted with the most information possible. If you guys are watching this on the Blind Rage Podcast, this will be uploaded between 12 and 5 p.m. there, depending on how rendering times go and all that. As well as if you're on the Blind Rage Podcast and you do want to see the podcast live, which I know, some of you people are very interested in doing. It's streamed on my main channel, which is Cryptic Fury. As well as make sure to follow all the social medias below, including my Twitter, which is at Fury Cryptic, Fury_Cryptic, which I pretty much every time I'm going to stream for the most part, I tweet out when I'm streaming, so you guys can get notified of all that. As well as tell me what you guys think about the whole overlay situation, how any topics you guys want us to discuss in the future, as well as in the future we will have a few guests. Actually, specifically to next Saturday, we will have Nikita, one of our longtime friends, on as well.
Dominic Baroni from the chat. I'm sure a lot of you guys know him.
Which, like we've said in the beginning, unfortunately we were unable to have him here today due to him celebrating one of his friends' birthday. However, that does give us more time to think about, questions and situations to discuss with him. And as always, guys, we're gonna leave the outro to Nick because he's not only deadly at COD, he's also deadly at giving one of the best outros there are.
So yeah, boys, you guys know the vibes. We are here freaking every single Saturday on stream. We're gonna be here every Sunday if you're watching this on the Blind Rage Podcast. And we just appreciate all the support, and we can't thank you guys enough. You guys be sure to keep telling your friends, keep sharing it, letting everybody know. And yeah, boys, let me take one last drink of Dr. Pepper for the good vibes. And yeah, guys, we're gonna go ahead and catch you on the next one. As always, God bless and peace out.
Okay, cool. That was cool.
Lam.
It's like 104 for you. I tried to end it a little bit. Like I was really trying to get it ended at 1 for you, but it kind of took a couple.
No, that's
minutes,
good.
But yeah.
No, hey, dude, we're chilling. It's not like the other time where it was 70 years after I was like, let's wrap it up, and then 7 years later we were still talking. That's way different.
Yeah, that's facts. Yo, are you still here, or did you leave completely?
I'm here.
Right.
I'm just not on my camera. I'm setting everything that I had to set up for the podcast. I'm fixing back. I'm replugging my charger in over here.
Yeah, you're chilling.
I'm gonna start getting everything set up because I'm ready. As soon as you are, I'm ready to get into a PlayStation party.
Yeah, I'm just gonna go through here and make sure. What is up, everybody? Welcome to the Blind Rage podcast with your boys.
Yep,
Yep. Bro, I think that the actual the stream itself and the overlay, although it's a little crude and unorganized, it looks badass. Dead ass. It looks good as fuck. Okay,
hold on. Give me a second here.
No, you're chilling.
Be right back.
Actually, we still have a couple people in the chat because I ended the recording, but I did not end the stream. So, guys, since this is a stream, I'm just gonna chill here for a minute or two before we end things off. But I appreciate all you guys coming out here and seeing the stream. A couple questions that were asked to me that I wasn't really able to address. If you guys are still in the chat, my boy SWYW Podcast, he asked me basically what's on my PC, which I listed below, as well as how much I spent and I'm going to spend on it. Just to answer that question, I spent around $1,400 on my computer, which was a pre-built. And then with the upgrades and everything, the parts alone are going to cost around $1,100. And then I'm going to pay my boy whenever he gets certified. I'm going to pay him about between $100 and $200 to install the parts. So yeah, if you guys are still wondering about that, appreciate, my boy Snow, my boy Enzo, Dominic, all you boys in here, the loyal supporters, you guys already know. Yeah, but I appreciate you guys being here. Since you did ask about my PC, I don't know if, you're still in here. Hopefully you are, but if you're not, or if you are, this is what my PC is looking like. It doesn't really want to focus, really. But, this is what I got from my PC. I got my keyboard and all that stuff here. Yeah, I was thinking about doing that, let me get another better view of my computer. But yeah, this is the beast. This is the machine that we got here. Like I said, we're still upgrading that. I'm going to kick on my lights. I got to fix my green screen. But I figured, since I'm already here just chilling with you guys, I didn't end the stream yet. I figured if there's any questions, I'll wrap those up and, answer those. If not, we can continue to ending everything. But But yeah, I thank you for that, Jordan. I was thinking about doing it, and because with the whole podcast, since we are recording it now, we're not going off of streaming and then recording it back. I can have an extra 10 minutes on the stream, and it doesn't really matter or affect anything. But like I'm not gonna really do a full setup tour because it's unorganized as fuck. But here's my chair. There's my chair, and like here's my mouse and keyboard and shit. But yeah, I appreciate everybody showing up to the podcast. Hopefully you guys like the overlays and all that. I tried to organize it and make it level as possible, but that's not always the case. But yeah, if you guys have any other questions, make sure to let me know. If not, here in a moment we're gonna end the stream. But we had a pretty good podcast in my opinion, and I think that we definitely had some really good progress, So. Boy, Nick's still sending shit up. Okay, I gotta fix my camera as well. There you go. Let's go like that. There we go. That's cool. So, but yeah, like I said, boys, like everything's still kind of a work in progress here, but we're making it work. We're doing our thing. We're trying to get everything sorted out, all the kinks sorted out, and I would make the assumption before podcast 10, we should have all the kinks and shit worked out. So, we're chilling with that. Let me pull up live chat because, top chat sucks. But, like I said, everybody, I appreciate you guys coming out here, showing all the support. Probably got quite a bit of analytical. Oh shit, that's not what I wanted. Probably got a lot of analytical shit going on at the moment, but let me pull up the just display capture. Does that work? That works. Okay, can you guys see me? No, wait, can you? No. Fuck. Okay, chat, can you see me now? What the fuck? Let me try. Oh, that's why, because Discord's open. Let me close that out, and then now. Can you guys see me? Okay, give me one moment, boys. I'm gonna try to. Hopefully, you guys can see me. If not, I'll have to figure something out here. But task manager. We're just gonna end Discord at the moment. Because if you guys don't know, in Discord, let me scroll down here. Yeah, top chat is just absolute trash. Okay. Let me get rid of that. Let me minimize this real quick. Let me make sure my face cam is turned on and all that. And for some reason, it's just like not having it right now. So that's a thing, I guess. So you guys can't really see my face cam right now, but I guess why not look at like some of the analytics, I guess, because that's typically what we do at the end of each stream. So, at this point, why not kind of do that? I'm going to get my, my party chat set up on the phone periodically. So it'll, I can talk about that and shit. But, so we got 40 playbacks, which is cool. We got, an average of 7 minutes watched, which isn't as good as it has been, but, I'm okay with that. We only got one viewer in here at the moment. That's what it's saying. I'm not sure if that's 100% correct. Let's see. But yeah, guys, like I said, we're gonna probably try doing the whole streaming, or not ending the stream until a little bit afterwards, type thing. If my phone would like to, just decide to turn on, because that's overrated, I guess. So, like we said, guys, next episode we are going to be having a guest, which is our boy Dom. And then in the future, we're going to have some other people that you guys might not know. You guys might not know Dustin, but Dustin's in pretty much almost every one of Nick's videos. He's in quite a bit of my videos. As well as we're going to have our boy Enzo, our boy Snow. Basically everybody in our close friend group. And then, afterwards we're going to start branching out into, some other people that we know but aren't really, Yeah, I guess, I can make a list, guys, and then that way, once I make the whole list, we can like talk over stuff like this. Because I was thinking if you would be down, Nikita, like whenever you have the episode where you're on, like kind of like go over stuff like this, and like since like we always have like a back and forth type thing, once we talk about like your story, then we can talk about like like your opinion on Battlefield, and like your opinion on like where the COD franchise has gone, and then like if you have questions for us, then you can always ask us questions and stuff like that, but I definitely think that it's going to be a very interesting one. We still got 3 people in here, which is great. Let me close that out. Let me go back to... let me switch this chat. No. Let me switch this to my main streaming set. It should be... There we go. Okay, chat, we're back. So I just switched... You guys can't really see. I'll pull it up in front of here so you guys can see. So, the way it works is I have different things. I have these set up. So this is for the podcast, and this is for my channel. And my channel has the face cam and shit set up like this. So, but yeah, boys, if there's not any other questions for me, about a couple minutes from now, I'm going to start ending everything and, getting ready for next week's episode. Let me join the PS4 party on my phone. Enzo, if you want to play some Warzone tonight, you're more than welcome to. But, that's something that is completely up to you. Because I'm probably going to go to bed probably pretty late tonight. I don't know yet. But, wait, what's tomorrow? Fuck yeah, tomorrow's Sunday, boys. Yeah, tomorrow's Sunday. I don't have work, so I can sleep in as late as I want. But, yeah, I don't know. It's really hard to kind of, like, run around and ramble, but, yeah, for whatever reason, that's, like, doing its thing. So, let me go into here real quick, boys. So, got this open with, so now we got that. There we go. And now, okay, there we go, cool. So, like, obviously, like, pretty much all the boys in here right now are the, like, my mods. So, like, people that are in here that aren't mods, either they will be a mod, because I'm modding, like, basically everybody that I talk to, like, every single day. But those that are new, like Aloe, and then also the I believe it was the WY podcast, I'll refer it to as. But, like, people like them, they're not mods at the moment just because, they're newer. But I don't really give out mod unless, like, you're really, close, I guess. Like, if I know you personally, or if you're, like, a really good person that comes to my chat, Like, Enzo was a mod in my chat before before me and him became homies. So, like, it can work both ways, but, that's typically how it works. But yeah, guys, since we don't have really any other questions at the moment, we have pretty much nothing really going on. I'm going to join up the party with Nick and hopefully Nikita again, and, we're going to get back with that. But